Is it saying, oh, hi, we're live.
Hi.
Hi, you guys. What day is it? Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. We have such good topics today. You're going to be so happy. Candy, thank you so much for joining me on a live.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I definitely have followed you for a while. So I'm just honored and grateful. I appreciate you having me on your show.
Well, you are so well articulate and your dives are great.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate a girl who takes a rabbit hole seriously.
It's so much fun. It's like the geek inside of me. I'm like, wait a minute. She said this on this day, but then she was wearing this on that day. That doesn't make sense. Why did this happen? I
Yeah.
need more information. Like, give me a spreadsheet, a PowerPoint,
Let's do an
bullet point.
analysis.
Let's do an analysis. Like, I'm a diehard for a PDF. Like, let's do this.
Well, I want you to know that I appreciate it too, because I think that there's a lot of very, very intelligent people out there. And if we can have a common ground of gossip as the way to think and share ideas and stuff, that's super healthy. And I'm kind of like the Renaissance vibe of it. Like I wanted to be back in the Renaissance when people were like, I believe the world is round, and like, I believe it's flat.
No, it's flat. How dare you? I've challenged you to a duel.
Yeah, that's what I like. So I kind of use gossip in that way. And I learned so much with
Yeah.
collaborating with so many smart people on silly topics. But in the process, I get a lot out of them. And I'm always begging people to keep an open mind because it's
Yes.
like, I think it's so important. So, anywho, that's it. There's my MO in a nutshell. So, I was so surprised, Candy, before we
Yeah.
get into the gossip.
Yeah.
I was so surprised because I didn't know that you had an iHeartRadio show.
Yeah. So it's on iHeartRadio. It's also on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, basically wherever you get your podcast. But yes, also on iHeartRadio.
That's
And
amazing.
my whole thing is, particularly on YouTube, it's more pop culture meets self care. And the self care part of it is my podcast, which is Sugar Pills, a practical guide to self care. Because I started it during the whole like wellness craze that happens a couple years ago. But I was like, wait a minute, like, I don't look like Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't have millions of dollars to spend on, a wellness retreat. But how can I learn how to love myself first, the best, and the most, and completely? And so that was really what my journey was learning how to love myself. And once I started that journey, I thought, well, if this is helping me, then maybe it can help somebody else. And that's really kind of why I started the podcast. And it's just practical tools. Like, yes, the spa days are great and fun, but for me it's the intentionality behind it. What are healthy boundaries? What is self-esteem? How do you actually have it? All of that stuff. What is actual self-love versus self-care versus self-concept? A lot of times they get very much conflated. So I wanted to just do all of those concepts in a very practical way that any everyday person can understand and then actually use in their life and it's my tagline, I'm here to help you lead a more joyful life. How can you just have more joy?
That's so
And that's
nice.
really what it's all about. And that's kind of how I got into doing the YouTube pop culture reality TV stuff. Because just like you said, it's like, let's bring our intelligence to it. Let's bring our emotional intelligence to it. And for me, it was like, I think what draws me to pop culture in general, but reality TV in particular, is the human experience. Watching these women, you can learn about confidence. You can also learn about insecurity. You can learn about all of that stuff watching these women and men. So that's kind of what drew me to pop culture meets self-care, and that's sort of my sweet spot.
Well, I love it. I wanted to talk to you because before we get into the gossip, there's a few
Yeah.
things. Number one, I just got my lens replaced on my eyes so I could
Oh, wow.
actually read without glasses because
Yes.
as you get older, I lost my eyesight at 45, like literally overnight. Yeah. Yeah. So I
Whoa.
was like, it's horrific. I'm just going to say this to you as a young person.
Yeah.
I need your self-care. You need to know this. And I think nobody talks about it because like I don't know why, but basically all of a sudden I had perfect eyesight my whole life. And at 45, it was like all of a sudden it went like blurry up close.
Wow.
And my brain couldn't take it because
Right.
it hadn't done it its whole life. So I had this really wild surgery done where they take your lens out. And by the way, let me just do a quick shout out.
Yeah.
Pam, thank you so much. I
Hi.
love you for giving a super sticker. I think that's what this is. I love
Yes.
you. I'm
Yes.
so happy you're in the rainforest. I miss you. I want to come. The answer to all problems is in the rainforest. Okay. And Peggy, thank you too. You're Euro, so I love it. You must be coming from Ireland or England, or no, England's pound. What else? I don't know. Euro, EU.
Euro, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm going to Paris.
I love Paris.
December 9th, I'll be in Paris. So maybe you're there.
Have some pistachios for me. Pistachio macaroons are my favorite.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paige. That's very sweet. Look at your hair. It's so nice. I love the blonde. Okay.
Rocker.
Carol, happy holidays. Thank you for always being so supportive. Carol's a Patreon. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Most of the people on here probably are patrons. People wonder why I appeal on my YouTube channel so much to the patrons, but it's because so many of them are, in there too, because it supports the YouTube. And we always have like all the offline stuff you can't talk about on YouTube.
No, 100%. And that's a part of like the premium package. It's you get that shout out, you get a little higher up in the line, and that's what it's about. That's the way the world goes round. You're doing the exact right thing.
So I've been like dying because as I was saying, my lens, I had this done. I'm at 30 days. They just took me off the steroid of my eyes. And so in the last 2 days, my eyes have been like stinging a little like an onion, like when you peel an onion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm scared a little because I'm like, I wonder if my body or my immune system is not liking the lens. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm like stressed a little. So I'm taking that in today, but Friday I'm going to my doctor. So I'll let you guys know how it goes, because I promise to be so honest, because so many people might go, wow, I can't see either. So I'm like really being so straight up, like with everything. Like I can see so great now, but I'm getting some stinging. So like,
so not to be too frou-frou, but I do self-care and self-love. If I was in your position, one thing I would do is create an affirmation for yourself that you can say. Okay. If I were you, I would say, my body is healthy and whole. Every part of me knows exactly what to do. All is well, and there's nothing to worry about.
Oh my God, I love it. Just trust my body.
Yeah, trust your body to do what it knows to do. So if your body, God forbid it is rejecting the lens, trust your body that it knows this lens isn't for me, and your doctor will catch it. But also trust that maybe your body is just adjusting.
Maybe that's what I'm hoping.
Maybe it's just adjusting. So I would say, every part of my body is healthy and whole and knows exactly what to do. All is well. There's nothing to worry about. And every time I get that fear or that stress, I would just say that to myself again and again until I felt better.
I love it. I'm going to do that. That was really helpful. Yeah. Okay. So my next issue.
What's
since
up?
We're on it. Before we move on to the gossip, because this is like a little bit,
No, I love this stuff.
I need a little self-help today.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Hey, Gigi, I wanted to give you a shout out, sweetheart. I know I waved, but I just wanted to say hi. I love you. Okay. So I haven't had Botox in 6 months. Okay. The fans and my friends have been saying, Dana, I love your expressions without Botox on my Instagram. They've been saying, right? I don't know how the people on YouTube feel about it, but they've been saying that. And I look at myself, and even with Adam, I just did a thing with Up and Adam. I was like, oh my God, what the hell? I look so old. Like, what is happening here? Like, maybe I just haven't had lines in so long, right?
Right.
So anyway, now I'm like, what could I hate this. Like, what is happening here? And then I'm like, I need this. So anyway, financially, I can't afford to do it as much as I was doing before, but it's making me insecure. So talk to me.
So a couple of things. One, I think it's totally natural to feel how you feel. I think regardless of age, all people have certain insecurities. We all like I'll look in the mirror and I'll see something. I'm like, oh my God. And then 2 minutes later, somebody like, oh Candy, you have the cutest, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's saggy, it's this, it's that. Ugh. So I think that how you're feeling is completely natural and normal. We all have parts of our bodies that we want to improve on. But I would probably do a little bit of journaling and say, what is it about the lines? What is it about this that's making me feel not enough or too old or too this or too that? What is it about that? Kind of journal it out to see whether it's rooted in a self like esteem or worth issue that we all kind of
Mm.
have. Like we all have it if we're being honest about something in our lives. And if not, then maybe it's just a, hey, I want to zhuzh up a little bit. And that is also fine. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I want to do a little tweak. I want to do a little tuck. I want to do a little bit of this. For me, it's all about where is the intention coming from? Is
Mm.
it, I don't feel good enough unless I look like this? Or is it, I love myself, I feel good enough, and this is just how I want to look? So I
Yeah.
think it's depending on where it's coming from. So if it's coming from a place of, hey, this is just how I want to look, I want to dye my hair, I want to cut my hair, I want to lose 5 pounds, I want to gain 10 pounds, I want to get a little, Botox here or there, then do the damn thing.
Well,
It's
you know
your
what it
life and it's
is?
your
I
body.
have another thing to tell you, so
Yeah.
you could help me. Hi, Angie. I
Hi,
left you up so
Angie.
I wouldn't lose you. I'm sorry. For an hour, but it's good to see you. Oh my God, you're so pretty, Angie. Look at her. She's so
Gorgeous.
pretty.
She
I
looks like a
know.
doll.
I know. I'm like, speaking of beautiful, holy
Yeah.
moly. Um, so, one thing that happens, I think, that blows my mind
Yeah.
is that you hit a certain age in your brain, you're always 28 to like 35.
Okay.
Okay. I've talked to my mom, my stepmom about this. She's, in her 60s,
Okay.
and she still feels 20 inside, or 28, let's say, or 30, whatever. You know what I mean? Like when you
Yeah.
have your stuff together, but you're still fun and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And the problem is that rather than self-esteem, as much for me is that I feel like my look isn't matching what's inside anymore.
Okay.
So it's a struggle because I'm like, I want my face
Mm-hmm.
to match my self image that I imagine myself as. Does that make
Got it.
sense?
It does make sense, but I still think that's still sort of the same thing because and I'll say that because of this. You see people who are any age and you see someone and you see that they sort of radiate, not necessarily that they look young, but they look youthful. And those
Mm.
are two different things. Somebody could be 75 years old and they have a youthfulness, like a youthful energy about them.
Mm.
Whether they get Botox or not, people who just have that youthful energy, that spirit in them, versus someone who is trying to look younger, if that makes
Makes sense.
sense. So I still think it's still that internal work where it's, I don't want my face to look younger, but I want my essence to show up as who I am. And
Yeah.
I think that's really what it's about on that level. But when it comes to getting like Botox, knock yourself out. For me, it's more of, and this is my personal assessment of any type of, quote, elective situation, is how do I look the best version of myself? Not
That's
that I'm
lovely.
trying
I just
to,
want to stop. Look at this really
yeah,
quick. I love that lines are the story of your life. Show you really lived and loved your life. Oh,
yeah,
that's
I
so
love it,
sweet.
especially laughing lines
Yeah.
and smile
I
lines.
mean,
Definitely. But yeah, I think it's fine as long as it's not coming from a place of like body dysmorphia or low self-esteem. If
yeah.
you want to do something that's going to make you feel better, or that's going to make you, and by feel better I don't mean like I feel like I'm worthy now, but just I feel better about myself, then do it. Why do we drink water? Why do we eat our veggies? Why do we exercise? Because we want to become the highest version of ourselves. And if in 2022 you have technology and science and medicine that can help you do that, why not utilize it? You know, I think sometimes people think that just because you're trying to get Botox or a nip or a tuck, it's coming from this horrible place, but that's not true. Nobody would get that judgment if they said, "Oh, I want to eat, really healthy and just really, focus on a healthy lifestyle." No one would give you that judgment around it. So I say, let go of the judgment, let go of the shame,
And just
do it.
do it,
And then
but do it from a youthful, like, maybe don't
intentionality.
overdo it. Like,
Right.
try to find that comfortable balance of getting your youthful essence, as you said, out, but at the
Yeah.
same time, don't lose the character of yourself in there somehow.
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing, you guys. I'm going to wrap this up because I know you probably all want me to get to the gossip, but I just want to say that it is a difficult balance, because often in the process of making yourself feel youthful like you feel inside, you lose your face completely in the
Mhm.
process, and you start to look like somebody completely different.
Yeah.
And I struggle with this concept um, in both ways. Some parts of me loves the idea of abandoning my face, actually.
Mhm.
Like, I'm done with it already. Like, I've
Yeah.
had it for, it's not serving me anymore. Let's go. I swear, I know that sounds so bizarre, but
No,
then
it doesn't.
part of me is like, no, that your face is like, it's who you are. It's your anchor. And I go back and forth like you. I overthink everything. So I go back
Mhm.
and forth with this concept of like, do I want a new face? Or do I want to, because I'm sick of this one, or it's not serving me, or do I want to stay true to my identity, which has been my face and my
Right.
son, and like my kid looks like my face, like,
Aw.
so it's like all this. Anyway, you guys ponder it. We don't have to decide on it today. I just wanted to have the discussion. We
And
can leave it
can I
open.
say something to that real quick? Nothing outside of our higher self, of who we are, is actually who we are. So even your face isn't you. Your
Yeah.
face is just it's just our bodies, our faces. They're not actually who we are. It's again that essence of us, that higher self. So
Yeah.
like, if, like, for example, God forbid, say a person's walking outside and they, get hit in the face with something. Are
Hmm.
they no longer who they are because their face is now deformed? You would
No.
never say that. You'd be like, no, you're still you. You're still yourself, your higher self. And I think the beauty of being a human being, I'm into all that stuff. I think that we're, divine spirits having a human experience. And I think the beauty of having a human experience is that we kind of get to choose how we express ourselves physically.
Yes.
And that is our and that is our free will. That's our autonomy as human beings. So if I want to get a nip or a tuck, if I want to get a tattoo, if I want to lose weight, if I want to gain weight, if I want to do whatever, because I authentically want to, again, it's connected to my authenticity, not because I think if I look like this, then I will be good enough. That's not what I'm talking about. If you authentically want to look a certain way, think about, I don't want to get too heavy, but like people who are in the transgender community, if you authentically feel this is how I want to express my physicality, then do it. Because at the end of the day, it's your life and you only get one this way.
And
So
I love
live
it.
it the
I
way
think
you
that's
want to
good.
live it. Live
I
it the
think
way you want to live it, you know?
I think that's so good. And I'm going to digest this all and come back with a new face. No, I'm kidding. I'll let you guys know what I decide to do. Probably somewhere in the middle, but it's an important discussion, I think. And you bring
Yeah.
up an excellent point. We our spirit inside, whatever you believe
Yeah.
is your identity. And that's ever changing and ever shifting. And who wants to be stagnant? It's a horrific.
No.
Yeah, stagnant is not a good
And
thing
our
to
bodies
ever.
are meant to change. Like, we're not the same as we were when we were 5 years old, but we're
No.
still the same soul, energy, essence person. That that's the constant. Our bodies are not.
Right.
That's why we change. Our bodies and our faces don't look the same as they did when we were 10, 5, or born. Our bodies are meant to change. That's why we evolve and grow and change.
What's your sign? Because you seem very like
I'm a
evolved.
Sagittarius.
I'm a Pisces.
Ah!
All
Oh,
right.
and you should do an influencer campaign and get your Botox for free, not just for free, but get paid to do it. If you want to talk about that offline, I'll give you some
Oh my
tips on.
goodness, that exists.
Oh my
Jeez.
God, yes, girl. You're not gonna pay. You're gonna get paid to do it. You're not gonna pay for it. We'll talk about it.
I love it. You could teach me so much. I
Oh my
know.
God.
By the way, to say it, Candy is also because I do the deep dive on anyone who comes on my show, right? So Candy is also an excellent marketer, influencer. She actually knows how to optimize your imprint as an influencer and social media person, which is why she's so great. Like, you've done a fabulous job with marketing yourself. I noticed everything you did, and I know how hard it is. No, but I know how hard it is to do it, especially as a one-man show or one-woman show. So it's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time. I've been trying to do an Amazon. I wanted to do an Amazon live of my top 10 Christmas gifts, and I
love that.
I was approved like 3 months ago, and I still haven't had time to figure it out. That's how challenging it is. Like, why is it so hard?
Yeah.
Why can't I'm like, it's so frustrating. Okay, but anyway, huge what do they call that? High fives, or I don't know. High fives to you.
Thank you.
All right. So let's get into this. I thought we would start out. There's been a lot of conversation about Diana Jenkins in the last few days regarding the Lion Air, victims.
Yeah.
And there's been two sides to this story, but as I always say, the devil is in the detail. So I think you probably have done a video on this already. So I'm going to let you, do you want to talk about, did you do it from the Jay Edelson perspective, or did you do it from the other perspective? Because there's two.
I definitely did it from the Jay Edelson perspective, 100%.
So you do Jay Edelson, and I'll do the other. How's that?
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
So, as we know, Jay Edelson is the attorney that's representing the victims from the Lion Air's crash. And there was about 189 of those victims, which we all know, unfortunately, lost their lives. So, who he's actually representing is their loved ones. The family members would be the people who are. He's actually, yes, he's representing the victims, but the living people are the people left behind, right? The widows and the orphans. Those are the victims we're talking about. Yes. So he sort of called out Diana Jenkins for doing this performative PR piece, like, oh, I'm donating 100K of my money to the Lion Air victims, blah, 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 blah. And he came out kind of like, we're a little bit confused. Like, one, if you're going to donate this money to us, I represent them legally. We haven't heard anything from you. Also, they've already been paid out through insurance. So we're not exactly sure why these are the particular victims, when unfortunately Tom Girardi has a myriad of victims, numerous victims out there. So that was also kind of shady. And then he was also, the math isn't mathing. Like, if you do give us 100K plus this alleged 2K that you were able to get in donations, that actually kind of maps out to about $100 per victim survivor, because there's thousands of them. So if you're actually trying to make a meaningful difference in their lives, we're not exactly sure what $100 is going to do. And then on top of that, which to me was the sketchiest part, is she started her own charity, like randomly, like the Sunella charity to do this through. And I'm like, well, this is so self-serving. One, it's a tax break for you. Two, anything that people do donate, you can take a percentage of, if not all of. They call them administrative fees, filing fees, distribution fees, blah, 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 blah. All of the crap, things that people put up in order to gouge money. So why are you funneling this alleged 100K through your own charity rather than doing a direct donation, which again, she hasn't actually done. And then on top of that, they partnered with this nonprofit called GVNG. I'm kind of squinting at that nonprofit. Just because you're a charity, just because you're a nonprofit does not mean you're actually legitimate or not. There's a whole lot of scammers out there. So I'm kind of like, I don't trust this company just because
Mhm.
you're partnering with a company. To me, that's trying to give yourself cover for it.
Mhm.
So it's all really suspect, and nobody's actually gotten any of the money. And I also thought it was really bizarre that she was asking for donations from the public. That to me just didn't seem right. Like, you're doing essentially a GoFundMe. I'm super confused, you
Right.
know? And again, she hasn't actually given the money. It's all of this performative PR stuff. And I think she did it for a couple of reasons. I think one was self serving. All of the, let's protect our channels, but all of her past allegations, we'll leave it there, had resurfaced. So I think that she wanted to sort of sweep the internet, get those out of the way, and then have, Diana Jenkins, philanthropist, gives 100K to victims pop up when you Google her name versus the other stuff that was popping up when you Googled her name. And then I also think she's a bit of a pick me. I think that, one thing I said about her is that money doesn't buy self esteem. And I think for all of the money and access and, in her own words, privilege that she has, she's a deeply insecure, deeply, and then again, this is just my personal opinion, deeply insecure, deeply wounded individual that is still looking for validation through who she thinks the cool girls are, aka Lisa Rinna, Erica Jane Girardi, where she did it on Erica Jane's behalf. Because even before Diana joined the cast, Erica said during that first year everything happened, oh, if you care so much about the victims, why don't you give them money? Why don't you donate? She has said that repeatedly before Diana even joined. And then Diana said in her own confessional, yeah, it was kind of like an FU to the Garcells, to the Crystals, to the Suttons, even to the Kyles at one particular point, who was calling Erica Jane out, being like, well, if they care so much about the victims, then why don't they give money? That's why Erica Jane was supportive of Diana doing it, because I think it came from Erica. So I just don't believe that at all. And I think it's, again, just a very performative PR stunt that these people like to do.
So I think that you've covered quite a bit. And I think my feelings of it are that the messaging have been way off in this thing since the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
which is why people are lost in this donation. So, for example, you would expect, I guess, that if someone is shooting a show and they are shooting it and find out about this horrific event that happened to orphans, and there were children without parents and
Mm-hmm.
kids that were killed and their parents were impacted and all this stuff, that you would at that moment in time, if you legitimately are doing from a total place of love,
Yeah.
you would start that charity at that moment and you would begin promoting it. And even, with your smaller platform, like reach out to Bono, him, reach out to Sean Penn, him,
Mm-hmm.
reach out to and start getting that ball rolling before
Yep.
the show airs. Right?
Yeah.
So that sounds to me like a person who truly is caring and coming from a place of complete love, right?
Yep.
When you start the charity only after
Mm-hmm.
that a scene airs in the edit of you saying this thing, within, I think it was like a week or two of that.
Yeah.
And only then does the copyright come out on Sinella Foundation. And you do it then, it kind of smells
Yeah.
like this wasn't coming from a genuine place. Okay. And then when you link it to Erica Girardi in your
Mm-hmm.
messaging, because the reason we cared about this donation was that Erica Girardi, as far as viewership, meaning, was that Erica Girardi was funding her lavish lifestyle with the monies that belonged to these people, some of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So why did we care? Why was it on the show? It was on the show because victims were saying that Erica Girardi was using like all this
Yeah.
like inspirational life that we're watching, that money was coming from those victims. Now, those particular victims are Jay Edelson's people. He has a small percentage of the people that were on the, left from the plane crash, the parents or, children that were orphaned or whatever. He's got a small group he represents of those, whatever, 189 people. But why Jay Edelson's testimony was so important recently on Emily D. Baker saying it's crap and they never received anything was that when Diana is saying, well, I didn't know about this and I'm going to give $100,000, everyone assumed it was to Jay Edelson's victims who were directly impacted by Erica Jane Girardi's luxury lifestyle, not the plane as a whole, right? Just because of the context.
Yeah.
So she then launches this charity, which she throws up this website. And she gets a back-end system called gvng.org, which is a widget you can throw into your website.
Yeah.
And they collect the money. And when you designate at any time where that money goes. Now, what's unique to Diana Jenkins is she did not follow the typical business model with them, which is confusing. The typical business model with this company is that you are in control of this back-end system where the money is kept. You're essentially using their charity, standing so that people can take write-offs and all that. And it's like a legitimate donation.
Yeah.
You cannot get your money back, to be fair, cannot get the money back, but you can at any time designate where the money goes as the owner of this widget on your thing.
Got it.
Now, here's the thing. She had done many press releases surrounding this donation over periods of time. And in the press releases, she said that the president of the company was helping her in conjunction with her find a way to donate this money. Now, this is not their typical model. This is unusual. So I'm assuming she must have said, hi, I'm a housewife. I'm Diana Jenkins. I'm a billionaire. I'm, Jenkins' wife. Or she knew the president, or maybe she gave him money, partially funded it. I don't know how her involvement is with this company, but the president doesn't normally allocate where the money goes. It's like a GoFundMe page. You do
That's
it yourself.
what I said. I was like, it's
yeah,
it was a sham. It was such a sham.
Well, here's the thing. Now, to be fair, on her website, she said she was going to raise money till December 31st of 2022. And then by then they would donate the money, cut off the fund or whatever, and donate it to the plane victims as a whole, not Jay Edelson, the plane victims as a whole. But again, the message is all screwed up because we only care because of Jay Edelson, victims of him, and Erica and Diana, right? I mean, I'm talking broadly speaking.
Yeah.
And so what I think happened is people got really lost in all this. And what bothered people, again, was this last minute kind of treatment of the effort. So in other words, what people really wanted to hear was, okay, you have this Sanella Foundation, you've got this back-end system, gvng.org. We understand what that is, but who are you giving the money to in the end? And that was never said.
Yeah.
It fell off a cliff. Now, at this point, because people didn't know all this, and it's November 30th, it's almost December 1st, people are like, what do you know who you're even giving the money to? And Diana's answer to that publicly is, I'm going to talk to the president who was supposed to work on this with me.
Oh my God.
And so that makes people uncomfortable because they like to know my money dollar here is going into pocket there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the ambiguity of not stating the ultimate destination of that 102,000 is what I think really is bothering people. And the reason Jay Edelson said that was crap was that he, as many viewers felt, was that she was giving the donation triggered by Erica Jane Girardi and
Yeah.
her husband, Tom Girardi, in the Ponzi scheme and whatever their involvement, the money went missing. Right. And
Yeah.
so anyway.
I think even before the piece where they're like, well, who is the money going to? I think the core disconnect was the misleading headlines from jump, because that to me was the biggest issue I had with Diana. She put out this very performative, misleading press release that, again, majority of people are going to do what? Just read the headline. And based on the headline, it was Diana Jenkins donates 100K to Lion Air victims, which we all know is connected to Erica Jane Girardi and Tom and the fraud and all of that stuff. So I think that was the initial problem, was you're purposely putting out a statement where it looks like Diana Jenkins is going into her pocket for 100K and giving it to the victims. I think that was the initial problem. And then now she's doing all, and of course,
like, why do we have to do it through a charity? Why do you have to have 3 layers?
Through a charity? And also, why do we have to do it through her charity? Like, why did she create this charity just for them? So once people started reading the actual press release and the website and the nitty-gritty, where they're like, oh, wait a minute, the press release says that she pledges. So there's a difference between donating and pledging. I could pledge all day long. I pledged to give $1 million to the Moon Foundation. You know what I mean? Versus I donated $1 million. Those are two very different things. And I think that was the real problem. And that's why it was performative. And that's why Jay Edelson was like, this is a bunch of crap. Because if you put a headline out there, Diana Jenkins donates 100K to victims, when I read it, and I'm a pretty smart whip, I thought, oh, she's donating 100K to Lion Air victims because that's what I was led to believe. And I think that is the essence of what the problem is, and what and where she really, in my opinion, purposely was trying to mislead everybody else. Even Andy Cohen was on Watch What Happens Live talking to Kyle. He was like, oh, Diana just donated 100K to the victims. What do you think? And Kyle's like, well, I want to know what Erica thinks. Because again, the misconception was, oh, this was shade to Erica. This was Diana trolling Erica. And I was like, 100% no. This is 100% Diana being in cahoots with Erica. Have we not been listening to what Erica has been saying entire time?
Yeah, no, originally, you know what I mean? Originally, the idea was, and let me say where that started and what I think. Sutton was, the fans were hoping Sutton would do an FU to Erica because she does so much donations, you know, not on television, right? That she would, you know, give money to the victims as a sort of FU to Erica. And from her, it would have been.
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
From her, it would have been, because they're not actually friends.
But in Diana's case, it was like,
it was an FU to Sutton.
It was kind of like an FU to Sutton and Kyle and everybody. So what
Kyle
they did is
and Crystal.
Right. They collabed. Her and Erica must have collabed and 100%. Said, let's turn this on its head. I'll do the donation and then I'll make them look all petty because they didn't do anything. And you know, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it in kind of like with your support now.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, look at how we did that. Aren't we special?
Aren't we so cool? Because they all, Erica said it and Diana said it. Well, if you care so much, you know, why don't you give money? If you blah, 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 blah. They said it repeatedly. And I'm like, is nobody listening? But my thing to that, I'm just like, that's a bunch of BS. Like, it's not our responsibility to make good on Tom Girardi's alleged fraud. You know what I mean? If I go into a bank and rob the bank, there's not going to be a GoFundMe, you know, for the city of Los Angeles to get that money back to give to the bank. No, they're coming after me. They're going to be like, Candy, give the money back. Yeah. It's not which is very different from if it was like, you know, a a hurricane or an earthquake or an act of God or something happens, where of course then the community collectively comes together to help out victims, because there's no one to quote blame in that. It's like, oh my gosh, there was a hurricane, there was an earthquake, what happened in Puerto Rico and Haiti and all of, Hurricane Katrina. Of course the community then, because there's no entity to like blame and hold accountable. But this is on Tom Girardi and all of the people who he enabled and enabled him in this decades upon decades long Ponzi scheme. He and all of the people who enabled that and who benefited from it should be held accountable and pay back the victims. So these are apples to oranges. So it's like what John Hamm said, or John Hamm.
Well, she was clever with that too. Let me just say how clever Diana is, because you guys, I don't know who's buying the I can barely speak English thing or understand it, but
nobody.
I mean, she did this so clever, because what she did was she widened it to all of the plain victims so that it would become ambiguous, excuse me.
Yeah.
And that, it was a multiple layered donation that nobody could really track totally. I mean, it was just so well done the way she did it, and without just being like, here's your donation. She kept control. She's still controlling it.
Yeah.
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 The narrative.
100%. The narrative. Yeah. And that was all damage control. It's like, oh wait, you're calling us out because we actually didn't donate anything. Well, this. Oh wait, you're calling us out because the charity doesn't actually, give back. Well, this. Oh wait, you're calling us out because it's not just the variable, blah, 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 blah. But it's just like, you're catching up to being called out, which shows you were wrong in the first place. Because you're just catching up to being called out.
Yeah, well, she definitely pivots every time something comes. She pivots. So, well, we're gonna have to see how that plays out. My hope is that the 100,000 and or now 102,000 gets to some victims that didn't receive.
She got $2,000 in super chats.
Yeah. See. I mean, I think the goal is a good one. I think the fact, we all know that Diana, Lisa, and Erica are very close off camera.
Yeah.
And, it's a shame that Diana didn't call out the fact that Erica doesn't show remorse. I found that very contradictory to doing a donation. She kind of did, but she didn't really. She was like, just say sorry, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, and you sort of want to be, to nail that landing, you want to be consistent. So if your donation is like, I want to help the victims, it should also be like, you're, not exactly helping the cause by saying that maybe they're not victims and that you're, you don't care and feel bad for me and not them. It's just like, I don't know. So to me, she missed both marks. She stuck no landing. She fell right on her face.
To me, it was just 100% a fake performative PR stunt, because I think if you actually want to give and you want to make a meaningful difference, you can do that without having it land in page 6. So I think it was just all a PR stunt. I think if she truly cared, and again, I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose, but if I know someone with that type of personality, I think they probably lack empathy. So the only way that they actually operate is from self-serving. So if they're going to do anything, it's to make their ego and to make them look good, not because they actually can feel how other people feel.
Absolutely. All right. So now we're going to move on. Did you hear the news that Melissa Gorga was very upset at the negative truths out there that Joe Gorga lost his mother's and father's house, in some sort of real estate deal? That was the gossip going around. And Melissa set the record straight that he owned the house that his parents lived in.
Okay.
So I don't know if the takeaway from that was like he bought the house for them and let them live in it and then was allowed to kick them out and use it anytime he wanted, or if the takeaway is that economically, since he bought it for them, he needed to take it back to fix something. So it's his prerogative, or, he
Right.
couldn't afford it and lost it in a book. I don't know. But it was like a piece, but not the whole piece, and
Right.
yeah.
I guess for me, I don't follow Jersey too. I watch Jersey, but I don't follow it too much. Particularly now, it kind of just in general, my thoughts on Jersey. I think they're just doing the most right now because I think that they're fearful that Bravo is very much trigger happy when it comes to getting rid of OGs. So I
Mm,
think they're all really windmilling to stay on the show. And
mm,
I think that they're also worried that they might go to the way of a New York or a Dallas, or Beverly Hills right now is put on pause, even though they just had a really big season. It was very dark and all of that stuff.
mm.
So I kind of tune out Jersey because right now I think they're just kind of doing the most. But this particular story, I'm kind of, condolences. And unfortunately, both of their parents have since passed.
Mm.
So I'm kind of like, what exactly is the issue? Like, to me, this is like a big nothing burger. It's like, again, they're just trying to rinse, wash, and repeat these old, you know, Gorgas versus, Teresa, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm over it. I'm kind of like, it's 2022, baby. It's almost 2023. Like, get another storyline. Like, it's over. It's just really, I don't know. It's just really tired for me. And I'm kind
Well,
of like,
you know why they were doing it? They were talking about it because a lot of people believe that the origination of the
okay,
tension
okay,
between Teresa and Joe as brother and sister started there when the
hmm.
parents' house, for whatever reason, went away. And this was the study,
Wait,
what
was
people
this
were studying.
when the parents were alive, or since
Yeah.
they just when they were alive, their house went away?
Yeah. So there was documentation that came
Okay,
out that looked like Joe lost his parents' house. And
okay,
as a result, the parents had to move in with Teresa. That's like really the high level, but basically
got it,
that's it.
got it.
And
Okay,
and
okay,
and actually Frank Catania was like the witness on it or the lawyer for it or something like that. I can't remember. I did a video on it
got
a while
it.
ago. But
Okay,
that was so the goal in understanding this was to try to figure out, is this legitimately where the true gap between the brother and sister happened? Because obviously
no,
Teresa, that was what the fans were looking into.
got it. Okay, okay. I still stand where I still think it's just a bunch of like. I think the gap between Joe and his sister Teresa, in my opinion, probably started when he started dating Melissa. I think that was the real division between the two siblings because they
Sure.
seemed like they were pretty close. And I think within, again, I don't know these people, but, and I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose, but just feeling like their family dynamics, it seems like a very enmeshed family. Like a lot of, they don't have their own individuality. They seem very, very enmeshed. So I feel like when Melissa came in, and then also Teresa's Joe came in, I think that was really the beginning of where the beef was between these siblings. I think there was a lot of jealousy and a lot of competition between Joe, and also between Teresa and Melissa. So I think that's really the essence of it, just, family drama, family trauma. And I think all of these little things like, oh, did Melissa lie to get on the show? Oh, did Joe lose the family house? Again, when it comes to Jersey, I'm just like, I don't care. This is really boring. This is really flat to me. Like, I don't really care. Like, can we find something current? Like, I'm confused. Let the parents rest in peace. These siblings have probably always had problems. He did a bad deal, maybe, maybe not. It is what it is. They both have homes right now. I'm confused. The parents have passed, condolences on that. But again, I think Jersey is just really windmilling to stay relevant. I think that's what's going on with Jersey. They're just really, really doing whatever they can do. The whole Bravo separate stages, oh, this and that, Jennifer throwing the drink. It's just like, eh. I just personally, I'm
You
just
feel
not
like
into
they're
it.
trying too hard.
They're doing the absolute most, and it's just like get an original, fresh, new storyline. Be interesting, have personalities. Throw in some new women, and then let's talk about Jersey. But the whole Teresa versus Joe, like, I'm tired of it. You know, it's like when you go home for Thanksgiving, it's the same fight. You're just like, yeah, like, I'm over it. Like I'm just personally not invested in their story at all. I'm just personally not invested in it.
Well, you bring up a point, which is this: without the Teresa and Joe fight, if that goes away,
Yep,
the show really struggles because
exactly.
they lose that sibling rivalry, which is really what's been riveting over the last few years, besides the little like detours of like cheating and this and that, you know. Um, so I think what you're saying is a real problem. As a producer, they're definitely having meetings about this as we speak.
A
You know,
100%, a
I
hundred
I
percent.
really do believe that, and I do believe that there was, I think Teresa's viewpoint is I don't need them,
Yeah.
and I have a new family now, and we could do our own show. And I think Joe's feeling is I have a whole family that is really dynamic, and Melissa and I could do our own show of our
Yeah.
family and our, you know, people you haven't seen. And we have a lot of young, hip, you know, good looking people in our family that,
Hmm.
you know, might bring it around. And I have a comedian thing, and Melissa's got a store, and
Yeah.
she's got a show, and she's got a huge fan base. Melissa's got a huge fan base. Meanwhile, Teresa's like, you know, I'm the rock, I'm the core of the show. There is no show without me. So I
Yeah.
definitely could do my own show with
Hmm.
my new group of friends, with maybe more of a positive spin with my whole namaste thing,
Right.
you know, and Louie and my new family, right?
Yeah.
Who has, you know, the sister, the optometrist who's, you know, into forgivity and all that stuff, whatever. You get the point.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the point is that kind of thing. And I do think that there's two attacks coming in, you know, for Shed. Like they're both going to Shed. I want. And Shed's in the middle, like, oh shit,
Like,
you know,
whoa, what's
how do
going
I
on?
salvage
Yeah.
this? And then Bravo, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. Did you hear Teresa on that radio show? I'm gonna do a video about it. Did you hear about it?
No, I'm not really into
All
like
right, just let
Jersey
me
like that.
say
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do
Okay. Yeah.
it now because I am gonna do a video, you guys. I'm gonna play it for you in the video, but
Yeah.
it was way worse than what they reported. Teresa
Whoa.
got triggered on this, but like I think it was Boston, a Boston, you know, he's on the air all the time. He's like
Yeah.
old school, you know, like Casey Kasem, but like Boston guy. Um, and I guess she got triggered because he
Mhm.
brought up, you know, something related to her prison, but not in a negative way, honestly. It was just
Yeah.
like, you know, and I think he thought he was curious about it. And she,
Yeah.
oh my God, she went off the deep end. She didn't handle it like
Right.
properly PR wise.
Yeah. No namaste over
No,
there.
well, she tried to make it about positivity,
Right.
but it came off as very dark,
Toxic,
toxic. Yeah.
toxic positivity. That's a
Yeah, it
thing.
was toxic positivity. That's
Toxic
a
positivity. I'm tired of that.
is
That
that a
show.
thing? I
Oh, 100% toxic positivity. Oh, please. Like like her husband Louis.
oh my God, stop it. We keep seeing all we keep seeing on the internet is pictures he did with Teresa that match exactly what he did with all of his exes.
Yeah.
Like a
I
cookie
mean,
cutter. I
again,
mean,
I'm not a
creepy.
doctor. I don't diagnose, but certain personality types, they don't change and they are who they are.
Are you saying empathy, lacking empathy again?
Lacking
That
empathy,
personality type?
that type of personality. Yep. Ego based, lacking empathy. Uh huh.
I love it.
100%.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. Speaking of which, I had Vanessa Reiser, his ex, on my YouTube,
Ooh.
and we talked about narcissists. I don't know why I thought of that, but I thought I'd mention it. Um,
Exactly.
so I
Exactly.
don't know if you heard, but um, I posted on my Instagram that
Yeah.
Slut Pig striked again last night.
Who is Slut Pig?
Do you guys remember Slut Pig? Anybody out there? I'm just curious if anyone remembers. I love to test people. That's why I do it.
I'm dying right now.
Okay. So back
Can I guess? Can I guess?
Yes.
Is it PK?
No.
Oh.
No, back in the day, and
Okay.
when I was on the show, right? Brandy Glanville was called
Okay.
Slut Pig, and we all in the cast started calling her Slut Pig. Yeah, I know.
God.
But like she was, you had to be on this season, but you'd
Got it.
understand if you were
Okay.
behind the camera. Okay, it wasn't.
Got
It
it.
wasn't mean. It was actually like made sense. But
I feel with Brandy that tracks that it wasn't mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
So what happened was, I don't know, out of the blue, she was like making her list of people that she wanted to have, make like appearances from the past or whatever. And needless to say, I mean, I guess people kind of knew she hated me, but they didn't really like know she hated me kind of thing. Like, does she
Yeah.
really? And then
Yeah.
she just was like, oh, Dana, no. And she went in at like a whole thing about it. And people were like, geez, like, wow, and I was like, told
Brandy,
you.
please have several seats, sweetheart. Please.
She was
Like,
tough.
what? Like,
She was
what?
tough
Like,
on
what's the
me.
beef? What's wrong?
I don't really know. Okay, so people asked what I think that was about to
Yeah.
me last night because that's why it came up. I didn't, I mean, I don't hear her podcast. But she said that I guess like I would never want Dana to come back and yeah, it would be awful for Dana and no Dana, like that kind of thing. And didn't just say, well, that would be it for the cast members. Dana kept saying,
Right.
right? So I think what it is that two things.
Yeah.
One is that when we were on season 2 together, she and I were definitely pitted against each other by production. But more importantly, I think that she sees me as a bit of a threat. And that was because whenever we would get into a dispute, which often, like some of it happened in PR, like when we were doing PR together, or some of it happened like on the fly or behind the scenes, generally speaking, like I knew her Achilles heels and I wasn't afraid to use them. And I think that's really it. It was like, because I learned from her, this came from her. So I'm a quick learner. So when I'm doing something and I'm like, oh, she's going for Achilles heel, Achilles heel, Achilles heel, and that seems to work for her. I'm like, well, I'm going to do that to her now.
There you go.
Right. So when I started doing that, it did put her on the defensive. Now I wanted to do a show with her and I offered to have a show on my show or her show through her producer to talk things out and just say like, what do you think? Because we had a huge fight at the end of the season 2, her and I did publicly.
Yeah.
And we never got through it. We never resolved it. It stayed that way. So I offered to talk it through with her and also, have her take her best shot and vice versa.
Yeah.
Anyway, she shut it down. Yeah. But
she was too busy pitching Denise Richards for her podcast.
I guess traveling up north and everything to see her and get her.
Leave Denise alone, girl. Denise is not checking for you, Brandy. I have a conspiracy theory about that. Well, it came to me while you were talking. Can I share it?
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think Brandy was going so hard on you. And again, this is just a random conspiracy
I love
theory
theories.
I thought about.
Oh, this about that. Okay, let's hear it. I'm ready.
I think she was going so hard for you because Brandy, again, that personality, that pick me personality. I think that behind the scenes, she is really like trying to butter up to the faux Fox 5. I think she's really buttering up to Lisa Rinna, to Kyle Richards, maybe Dorit. I'm not really sure what their situation is, and it's Erica Jane and all of that. Because did you notice, and I thought this was really suspicious, that Teddy Mellencamp on 2Ps and whatever podcast said that she wanted Brandy to come back. She wanted herself and Brandy Glanville to come back. And I was like, spidey senses, candy cane critical thinking hat. Why is Teddy saying she wants Brandy to come back? A, I didn't even think Brandy and Teddy were friends. And B, I don't think anything comes out of Teddy's mouth unless Kyle Richards says so. So is Brandy trying to get back on the show saying like, I'll be a mouthpiece for you guys, I'll windmill for you guys, I'll be a soldier for you guys? And then the other part of this conspiracy is I thought it was also strange that Erica Jane was also saying she wanted Brandy back on the show because Brandy is like a truth teller and she'll stir it up. Again, is Erica Jane and Brandy friends like that? Why are you saying you want Brandy to come back? I'm confused. Then I remembered back during Denise Gate and all of that with Brandy and Denise, Erica Jane was publicly saying, oh, I believe Brandy. Brandy tells the truth and going against Denise. And I was like, why is Erica doing this? And prior to that, I didn't realize how sneaky they were, how they like made up all the lies and they would manipulate stuff. So I was like, did the whole Denise Brandy thing come from Lisa Rinna? Because she was so quick to turn on Denise. And she was so, it was just very much like she knew it was coming. And she was so quick. Her, Lisa Rinna, Kyle Richards, I don't think Kyle was in on it. I think she just joined the bandwagon. And then Erica Jane were so quick to say, oh, Brandy tells the truth. She's a truth teller. We believe her. I was like, where is this coming from? So a part of me is like, behind the scenes, is Brandy really trying to get her diamond back? And she's saying, you know, I'll be the mouthpiece. I'll do the dirty work. I'll do what you want, which is what I think she was trying to do when she came on with Kim Richards and the whole Denise thing. You just happened to be in full glam outside waiting in a car while they happened to be filming. That was completely a setup, right? When she came in to talk about it, but that clearly fell on its face, right? And production was like, we're not bringing you back, Brandy. Thanks for the ratings, but see you when we see you. So yeah, I'm kind of like, is there something going on with that? Because isn't there a thing with like you and Kyle? And I know the whole like PK Dory thing. So
that was like that was more them than me. I just was doing, I was like in my own little space and they came into mine. I was just sitting here, but
no, trust me,
I was like,
I understand.
Yeah, no, but I want to say this on that theory. So there's been rumors for a long time that Denise Richards swung both ways in Beverly Hills. Okay, mainly in the model groups. Okay, Brandy's in that model group, and a lot of my friends were in that model type group that was in LA, and they all kind of hang out, and they're like frenemies. I don't know how to explain it. They're very like, I don't know how to explain it. They talk shit about each other all the time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they all came up as models together. Small world. Okay. I think the idea of this, I do think it came from Brandy. I think it started with that, but I do think that it got legs very quickly with Lisa and Erica, and they were like home run. Exactly. If you're willing to do it, we're in. Okay.
We'll take advantage. Yep.
But the thing that was dark about it, and what I really felt for Denise for, from my behind the scenes PTSD, which I have, was that her husband could have very easily left her over that rumor because he may not be cool. Although Brandy made up this whole thing that they were cool with it, he may not have been cool with it, which is why Denise went into absolute panic, because what people don't get is this is real life and you have to go home and your guy is like, you did what? You said what? Some men, they leave you. They leave your ass. They're like, I'm done. 100%. I'm out. I don't know who you are. You're this? I thought you were something because you're not supposed to see these types of things in your relationship, and right. You had a conversation. You said I was ugly. Could be that simple.
Right? Like, it could be.
If you're sensitive, the guy, you never said that to your man and suddenly he's watching the show and he sees you say that in a confessional video. He's like, really? Maybe I don't know who I'm married to.
That's what you think of me. But I think even beyond that, I think sometimes people forget. I might be one of the few people, but I actually believe Denise. I don't believe Brandy. I think Brandy exaggerated a situation and lied.
You 100% did.
Yeah, I
believe to kiss her. I bet Brandy tries to kiss everybody. Let me just set the record straight on this. Brandy gets drunk and she would make out with the lamppost. She doesn't, like,
100%.
it doesn't have to be human. She'd be like,
Yep.
on a pillow. Like, she is like, the reason, let me go back to Slut Pig for a minute. Let's go full circle.
Let's do
The
it.
reason that nickname came up and why Kim said it was that every single thing with Brandy, off camera, on camera, was always based on her, not her intellect, not her talent, not even her appearance. It was sex. It was like, I'm going to kiss you and that will, I'm going to get control over you by kissing you.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick my thing in your face and I'm going to get control of the camera that way. I'm going to see a guy at a party and I'm going to beat you by getting him and sleeping with him tonight, or I'm going to go have sex in a bathroom, or I'm going to, and this is not slut shaming.
No,
this is something
it's not.
completely else. This is like, you can't have your whole thing be always based in that. It's like a repetitive theme every time you go out, or people are going to start to like, well, okay, fine. If that's the way you want to be, then don't be offended.
That's how we call you. And she was even like that on Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. I noticed that too, because she was even flirting with like the Uber driver of the driver of like the black car that brings the people there. She was flirting with him. She's like, oh, like, do you want to hang out after this? I was like, Randy, what the hell are you doing? Like, this is like the driver. She was flirting with him. And then even she did that. They all laughed it off, but when she said the woman at whatever event they went to, she thought she was a lesbian because of her eyebrows, which I thought was really off-putting, but they like laughed it off. But again, it was just weird, just stuff going on. I don't know, but I agree with you. She's hyper-sexualized herself and others. Yeah.
And I just guess my feeling about this is, and maybe I'm old school and I'll get backlash for this, but this is just what I think. I really like a well-rounded friend.
Mm-hmm.
I like a friend who is, has a night out with a dude and maybe something happens and we can talk about it and I don't have to look down on her, judge her. I like a friend that, is smart and has like ideas and thoughts and like wants to do things. I like a friend who can bring experience to the table. Like, oh, I went to, what it's like to go to, Greece and I haven't ever been, whatever it is. Like, I like a well-rounded friend. And for me, what I struggled with her was this consistent message, always going back to that. And I just felt like saying to her, don't you think you're worth more than that? Do you think you're only worth sex or your coochie or how hot you are or you are worth more than that? So actually it was coming from a good place, but because she would never accept it, she defended against it. She attacked you,
Yeah.
You get worn out and you finally go, fine. Then you slut pig. That's what happens. Okay. And that really is what happens. I remember we were doing a Christmas special for E.
Yeah.
We were doing a gingerbread house. And the first thing out of her mouth with the gingerbread house was like something about like drugs. Like it looked like Coke or something. Okay. And I was like, do we really have to do this at this Christmas special that we're doing? We're supposed to be doing like a holiday.
It's the Lord's Day. Can you close your legs on the Lord's Day? Close your legs.
Like I was just thinking to myself, like, and I said to her, I think I even said it on the E thing. I went, did you really have to just open the show with, drugs? Like it just, can we have like 5 minutes of holiday brandy before we bring out the cocaine references? Like
it's just really sad. And how she went off on her son's ex-girlfriend. Did you hear about that rant? She was like,
no.
Oh, sorry. She was like, I don't want to misspeak, but she was definitely under some influence, and this came from her.
Wait, I have to stop.
Oh, this
is absolutely true, which is why it's so hard to shoot with her, because she will say the worst thing about you, something that's not even maybe true. Like she'll be like, oh, you want to know, let's talk about your STD, like whatever. But when you come from her,
she can't handle it
in any way, she oh but it's because I'm hurt. And
Yeah.
oh my God. And then the fans are like, you bullies. And you're like, what?
I Brandy to me is very off-putting in that way, where I agree with Joe. It's like she will throw these daggers, but then the moment you throw a dagger back, she wants to play victim. And I'm like, you don't get it to be both ways. You can't cut people and then cry because you get cut back. Like
Yeah.
she plays the victim all the time. And she was under some type of influence of some whatever she was taking. And she went on this rant where she was like texting her, and her son's like a teenager, I think, at this point. Was texting his
Was she on
ex-girlfriend.
pills? Okay.
Allegedly, she was
No, she used
drinking
to
and
do
doing
that.
some
She
other
used to
stuff.
take
Yeah,
pills and go on Twitter. That the night we got in our big fight, that was
yeah,
the end fight. That's what happened.
yeah. And she went off on this girl who's like a teenage girl, a child, very reminiscent to Erica going after Garcelle's son, and was ripping into her, swearing, saying all this stuff. And the girl posted it on her TikTok. And then Brandy came out and was like, "Oh, I don't even remember typing this. I was so wasted." And I'm like, "You really just cursed out a child via text, and you don't even remember cussing this girl out." So I'm like, Brandy, you're not the victim here in any situation. And I always bring it back to this. Why did Brandy have no consequence when she slapped LVP? That was a physical assault, but there's so much smoke when other housewives become violent, but nothing happened to Brandy.
That was so.
Nothing. She
Can
popped
I
her in
just
the
tell
face.
you, knowing Lisa
And
Vanderpump as I did,
she tossed the wine in Eileen's face. So it's like it's very reminiscent to what's happened in Potomac, right? We have, Mia Thornton who threw her drink at Wendy Osafo's face, and we're all up in arms about that, as we should be. But Brandy had no type of consequence for doing the same exact thing to Eileen. And then when Monique, again, a little bit more of a fight, but she put her hands on Candace and Potomac, we were all up in arms about that, again, as we should be. But when Brandy also physically assaulted Lisa Vanderpump and her, like, literally, we saw on screen, she popped her in her face, nothing. So there is a bit of hypocrisy going on where certain housewives are held to a standard which we all should be held to. Keep your hands and your things to yourself. When other housewives do it, it becomes iconic or a joke. And that I don't think that's fair.
well, I'll tell you what. Two things, okay?
Yeah.
There's nothing more disrespectful than hitting someone in the face.
It's so
That
invasive.
is by far the most disrespectful thing you could ever do. Touch,
Yep.
shove a person, do whatever you want, but the face, it's something so, like, I'm Italian, like slap in the face is like,
Yep.
wow. So that said, okay, I cannot believe, knowing Lisa, that Lisa
Yeah.
let that slide. I will tell you that had to be a moment where Lisa went, I don't want to do this show anymore. 100%. Because her personality is such that would have been so unacceptable. Like,
Yeah.
beyond, it would be like if you have a good relationship with your mom, it'd be like slapping your mom.
No,
Like,
never.
it's relationship crushing shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So she is not like, me, you could see me, I might hit back, or I might like wipe it off and be like, okay, I'm now, bets are off. I'm coming for you. You could see me roll with it. Right. But Lisa, oh no.
Yeah.
Like, that was a door shut that day on that show for Lisa. I'm telling you right now, that was the beginning of the end. Forget Kyle and all that crap that happened later. That was the beginning of the end, and Puppygate. And
Yeah. Puppygate was so stupid.
that was her. Yeah.
But I think
that was it.
But I think even beyond Lisa Vanderpump's response, because Wendy was like, I'm not having it, but she did not respond in kind with violence. But Bravo now has all these statements like, we don't condone violence, with the whole like Monique Candace thing. But where was their statement when Brandy did it? Or when other
she
housewives
said that was a little love tap. That's how Brandy talks.
Yeah,
That's
and they were like laughing about it. And to me, I'm just sort of like, I think it's such a double standard when certain housewives are violent and when other housewives are violent.
Well, look
Do
at
you get what I'm saying
actually,
without
yeah,
saying
I
it?
totally get what you're saying.
Yeah,
I
it's like
I do.
Teresa Giudice flipping a table, which is violent, is iconic, right?
Right.
But if and I'm just gonna say it, if a black housewife did that, I think Bravo's response would have been very, very different. Very, very different. So I think that on certain shows, violence becomes iconic. It becomes a love tap. It becomes ha 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 ha. And then on other shows, violence is like, oh, this is a representation of all black women. It's like, no, it's not. These are just two black women who got into a fight. The same way Brandy slapping Lisa Vanderpump is not a representation of all white women. That's just two white women who got into a fight.
Oh,
And so,
actually,
you know what I
it
mean?
goes way better. It goes way better.
Yeah.
Let me just clear this up for everybody. Those are bitches that want camera time so bad. Like they could be a tree and
And
they're
they're gonna
hitting each
fight it.
other
Yeah.
because all they care about is their fame. And that cuts through everything,
Yeah.
really, truly. But the truth of the matter is what you're saying is accurate. Why in one case is one iconic or forgivable or not a
Yeah.
big deal. And in another case, it's like, people are getting fired over it and this and that. And I get that. And I agree
Yeah.
with that. But let's forget, I mean, let's talk about that for a second, because
Okay.
something that's really irritates me about all the housewife franchises is this concept of like, I can do anything I want and then say I forgot, or I was too drunk, or I didn't know.
Yeah.
Or, Bravo can put in the teaser that like, someone's getting hit 18 times in the face. And then they're like, we don't condone. It's the same thing as I got too drunk last night. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, we're going to put it in. We're going to do it all. We're going to praise it and make it iconic and all this stuff. And then we're going to be like, but we don't condone
We don't
violence.
condone violence. And
Right.
it's just
So
like,
like, it's all BS is what it is.
it's all a bunch of BS. It's all a bunch of BS. I think they think, what if this, how can we most exploit this situation?
Totally. I had a moment. I had to pull it in. I had to pull it in. I wanted to go way worse. And I just like,
yeah, it's a lot of hypocrisy. And this is what I wanted to say about the Brandy Denise Aaron thing, right? Where I think you're right. She had to go back to her husband and explain this rumor, because I think sometimes people think, oh, if it's same sex, it doesn't matter. But that's not true. I believe that all relationships are equal to each other. So if my partner cheats on me with a man, that's still cheating. If I cheat on my partner with a woman, that's still cheating. You know what I mean? So it's
emotionally
not
and
this whole
everything
like,
else cheating.
oh, he's homophobic because it would be her being bisexual. It's like, no, I'm married to you. We're in a monogamous relationship, and you cheated on me.
That's right.
Whether you cheat with a man or a woman, I don't care who you're cheating with. You're still cheating.
You're talking to square. I'm so square. I'm not gonna lie. I am loyal to the end. I was with a psychopath and I was still loyal
Lack
because
of empathy, psychopath.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And oh God, I'll tell you about that offline. A lot of these people probably know already, but the thing is that I'm loyal. And I just want people to be loyal back. And to me, if you make out with a girl and you're with me, and we're like, let's say I'm in a lesbian relationship and that girl kisses another girl, that's upsetting. If I'm with a guy and kisses, that's upsetting. If I kiss someone, I cheated. In my mind, I cheated. Because that is not that these lips are for that person. That's the whole thing. That's what it's all about. But like, I noticed that society has made it really low.
Yeah. It's like, they think that if you are, quote, like heterosexual, oh, you kissed a girl, it doesn't count, it doesn't matter. Well, how do you think somebody who is a lesbian feels when they hear that? Oh, so the type of relationship, the type of love that I have is not equal to the type of love that you have. It doesn't matter. It's discounted. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. They do this thing, which is, sex is sex and love is love. But see, for someone like me, I don't have sex unless I'm in love. So I don't separate the two. but I know that that argument exists out there. But that's, you know, maybe that's where some of the fans come from with the Denise thing. Well, she wouldn't have loved Brandy, so what does it matter? That it's just a sexual thing.
Oh,
But
please.
her husband might think different.
If my partner just has sex with somebody, that's a problem. I'm not even talking about love. If my partner is out there, you know, if he has sex with somebody, you better believe that's a problem. I don't care if it's just sex. It's still cheating because the agreement we have in our relationship is that we are monogamous.
Totally.
If you're in an open relationship, do the damn thing. But sex is still cheating.
Listen, you're speaking.
Hello?
I'm like so old school. I like people get mad at me. They say, Dana, you're too stiff. I don't know. I'm too stiff, maybe. I don't know. Listen,
to each their own.
I was raised at a time period where this was kind of the thing, right? I'm programmed that way, so I can't help it. I mean, you know, maybe in another time I would have been like, you know, woohoo, let's go.
No, I think to each their own. I'm the same way. I'm like, I'm straight monogamous. That's it.
I know. Maybe maybe it goes with geeky girls, like geeky girls like you and me are like, we don't know.
Yeah. I'm like,
All right. So let me ask you, what do you think about the rumors that Ursula Nesbitt, Kathy's friend, is casting for The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? What do you think about that?
I am beyond here for it. I think it would be an excellent casting choice.
Let me show you this.
Hey, Karma.
Oh yeah, I just say there's my inner Brandy. Okay, I know.
Yes, slut pig.
Little did I know I didn't need to buy sunglasses. I could have just done this for the whole time. I would have been a huge hit. All right. Anyway, okay.
Oh,
go ahead.
Man. I think it would be brilliant. I think it would be brilliant casting. I think Ursula kind of encapsulates what you think of that old school, you know, housewife idea aesthetic that was the true essence of the show to begin with. I think it's devolved a lot. What we have now, it's sort of this watered down, I don't even know
what the heck's going on.
It's a soap opera now, exactly. Oh my God. But I think but I think she represents, you know, the essence of that true housewife. You know, she's beautiful. She's married to, I think his name's like Patrick, I think. His name is Patrick. I think it's Patrick Nesbitt. And he's super, super wealthy. He has all the stuff going on. He also does hotels too, I think, or MGM. Or
is this the girl that's from Montecito?
I don't know if she's from Montecito, but she's married to Patrick Nesbitt, and he's like this huge guy. They had their estate was worth like 65 million or 55 million. They had a full polo field.
I know this lady.
She's very, very close to Kathy Hilton. She was shown on Paris in Love as Kathy's friend, and she's in that world. You know, she does philanthropy, she has the look, she has the money, and for all accounts, I believe it's clean money. I don't want another Erica Jane. I don't want another Teresa. I don't want any more of the dirty money. I just, enough is enough is enough. You know, she has that clean money. She's married. She has that lifestyle, and she seems really fun. You know, she was clapping back at, you know, shading Renna and Kyle and really supporting Kathy. So she's not stiff.
Oh my God, I know who this is. I know her.
She's great. She's great. I think she would be
she's in cahoots with Kathy, totally.
100%.
They own brands together.
Yeah, she would be Kathy's ally, and she's been on Paris in Love, and she went to Kathy's holiday party and all of that event. She was there. I think Ursula would be a great addition to the show. I want her and a couple of her friends. I want Lisa Rinna gone. I want Erica gone. I want Dorit can be a friend of if she has to come back. And I like Crystal. I want Garcelle. I actually don't mind Kyle. I do think that if Kyle does come back, we're gonna need her to show up a little bit, not as a producer, but as an actual housewife, and have her own storyline, and instead of trying to produce the show, actually show up to the show. If they bring her back. But I would love Ursula. I would love Kathy and like some of their friends, because I want that zhuzh back. I want, like, not to be disrespectful, but like Lisa Rinna, her house is like a tear down, rat infested, allegedly. Erica Jane, hot mess. We know the situation there. Dirty Diana, her allegations, I can't even look at her just from a moral, personal soul perspective. Just, I can't. So I want to watch these women who have like this money and luxury and decadence, and like they're laughing over like, whose jet are we gonna take? Your jet or my jet? And the drama's light and it's fun and it's a kiki and they're shopping, and it's like, oh, that's what I want to aspire to be like. Or I
Yeah.
could sit back and envision myself living that life, you know? Just, I want it to be an escape. I don't want to talk about trauma. I don't want to talk about, oh, this is going to give me cancer if I don't get it off my chest. Oh, Kathy Hilton's a racist, homophobe, white supremacist. Oh, there's crash victims. It's like, there's enough trauma in our everyday lives that we want our entertainment to be that entertaining, to be an escape. And that's what I want back. That's what I want back. I want fun. So like, bring Ursula, bring some of her friends, bring Kathy, bring them back, and let's watch these rich women be rich and fabulous, and we can join them and be friends in our heads and just have fun. I want fun back.
Well,
and I want money that I can watch and like watching.
That's something that I need to point out to everyone here. Okay, here we go. If the fans would demand more so characters and let them evolve into who they really are on camera, we would end up with a few episodes in a better show. Because the fans have reacted so well to people like Jen Shaw and Chanel Ian and all these women that are kind of putting on
Chanel, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
But they're putting on a show.
Yep.
They're not them. It's all a lie. It's not them. We're not getting to what you're saying you want to see, which is, I want to see a quirky person in their quirkiness as a rich person being who they are. Like we're watching, a laboratory experiment with the rich woman. And I want to see if I like her or not, or maybe this thing that she does will surprise me. I'll hate it at first, but then I'll like it. And then I want to see how they interact together as really being weird people together in LA. And then whatever fights and personal problems come out of that, naturally, I want that, right?
Yeah, I want go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The problem is that they're not letting us do that because they keep putting these women front and center that are acting.
Yep.
That are like, oh, let me give you my cool one-liner. Let me put my Matrix, the Matrix thing, and that they put in the Potomac. It was funny as hell, but you know what I mean? Yeah, clean money, baby, clean money.
Yeah.
So the thing is that I feel like, oh my, if there is such a thing, just saying.
No, there is clean money. There is.
Well,
like, I think like Sutton, Garcelle,
Actually, Sutton's money comes from a banker, and it's good that she's probably separated from him, but he was a brick and mortar banker and she got her money from her marriage, although educated. But I mean, to be fair, that is the majority of her money, and she gets a huge amount of support. Nothing against that.
No.
But like, to be fair, and Garcelle earns her money, and that's really different. And he is not, super, super rich, but she is doing fine. And she's great, for being a single woman, which she needs or whatever. When you get into the mega wealth, which is what, you've seen the mega wealth, it gets a little cloudier at the top. Yeah. So just remember that, you guys. Remember that. Okay. As slowly comes out over time, Okay, wait, here's Ebony. Ladies, which show isn't showing that opulence? Well, I think
all of them at this point. I'm just gonna call a thing a thing.
I think she's talking about something different. I think what Candy is saying is that she would prefer to watch someone's money that we don't feel bad for them having or spending.
Exactly.
So, or have to feel bad for it later. Like, we're like, ooh, Jen Shaw's awesome house and life. I love it. I want to go there. I want to be there. I want to party with her. Oh, wait, she's a crook.
Exactly.
She's some elderly.
It's twofold. It's twofold. It's one, just like you said, I want, and by clean money, I don't care if it's alimony, I don't care if you work for it, just as long as it's not victims, fraud connected. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Teresa's money, I don't want that money. Jen Shaw's money, I don't want that money. Diana Jenkins' money, I don't want that money. Erica
Preferably
Jane
not
money, I don't want
gangsters.
any. Any of that stuff. Like, clean money, and clean money. There's clean money out there. You know what I mean? Where exactly
Maybe
like
we
you
should go
said,
mid-range.
yeah, mid-range or whatever. But I want to see them spend that money, go on trips, have like decadent, crystal mink off money, with Rob or whatever. That type of money, that's fine too. With I want to see the ladies who lunch and all of that stuff, where it's I can put myself in the scene with them and be like, oh, I'm at the table and we're lunching and it's fun and we're going on these vacations and we're shopping, and you don't feel an ick factor where
Yeah.
that the money they came from was on the backs of a victim. You know what I mean? I want that
Yeah.
type of clean money. And then I also want aspirational. Like I don't aspire to be like the majority of the women on a lot of these franchises. Like I don't aspire to be, I'm not like a Rinna hater, but she's just a very easy example, unfortunately. I don't aspire to have a life like Lisa Rinna. I don't even aspire to have a life like Erica Jane. Do you know what I mean? And it's lost that aspirational piece where you're like, wow, that's a type of lifestyle I want. And we talked about Dubai. I don't aspire to be like Chanel Ayan, but there are some girls on there. Like I like Sarah, I like Nina, I like Lisa. I don't aspire to be like Carolyn Stansberry. I did when she was on Ladies of London, but not her on Dubai. That's a whole other conversation with Carolyn Stansberry with that situation. But I think that's the missing piece. It's gone so dark and so negative that there's no more fun to it.
Yeah,
It's
well,
lost its fun, and I think that's the biggest problem.
but see, the good thing about the fact that they keep casting these real winners that actually have nothing to do with, they're not from the city, they're like not who they say, like a million
Yeah,
things, right? It gives us content.
that
Because
is
without
fair. That
that,
is fair.
then everybody would just watch the show. And so thankfully now I feel like a lot of people watch us because it's more entertaining than the show, I think.
Very
Well,
true. Very
I
true.
have kept you forever. Oh my God.
That's
I love,
fine.
you've given me so much time. Well, I'm just going to say that the woman, Ursula is the woman I thought. She just sold her house in Montecito. I do
Yep.
know who she is. I do think that Kathy could be in cahoots to try to bring her in.
100%.
However, Kathy is not a full-time housewife. So
Yeah.
I don't know if they're actually going to give that weight because um, they really use friends of to enhance existing characters that they want to keep on the show for a little longer, and they
Mhm.
don't think that they're bringing it. I think Kathy was brought in for Kyle, honestly, because I
Mm.
think the producers were like, we have to do something to bring Kyle back
To
in.
zhuzh Kyle up. Because
Yeah,
she's kind of ran our course a bit.
totally.
Do
So
you know what I
that's why
mean?
they
Yeah.
did that, to refresh her, to help her.
And then it blew up
And
in her face because, well,
well, it didn't because she got her star moment at the end, weeping on
yeah.
stage. That was like, wow, that was everything. So the shade. But so that was it. So unless Kathy is becoming a full-time member or Kyle brings her in for Kathy as an incentive for Kathy to return, and it's on Kyle, that
Mhm.
isn't happening because they don't do friend to friend to friend of, they don't do that. That's not the purpose of a friend of.
But I think they would bring her on as a full-time diamond holder and maybe like a friend of hers. That's more of what I'm thinking. I don't think that they would bring Ursula on as a friend. I think they would bring her on as a new diamond. If
It's
they were to bring her
possible.
on, because I agree, it doesn't make sense to bring on a friend of a friend. But if they're looking for new housewives, I think that it would make sense to bring her on as a housewife, but not as a friend of.
I think I don't know if with the show, to say, like, how do I say it?
Mhm.
The show as it currently stands, I think a lot of people that aren't actors. Actors will want to do the show, but non-actor people that are really rich are going to struggle to want to do the show.
Yeah.
Because in the old days, you have to remember in like season 1, 2, 3, and 4, they were casting from a very real perspective,
Yep.
meaning they were looking for people who truly were friends, that really were like, you know, if they were ostentatious or crazy, they were really ostentatious and crazy in real life. Like
Yeah.
everybody was really doing what they were doing, right? They had flaws and it was there. And then somehow around, you know, season 4, they start to kind of go away from that a little bit, not too much, but they do start to go a little bit more extreme. Like we want to go with more notable people, right?
Mhm.
High, like you might have heard of them. And then they went from that to let's get actresses, right? Let's bring in,
Yeah.
and not just any actresses, let's get soap actresses in here.
It kind of became like Dancing with the Stars.
Right? So you get I mean, what do you expect? You brought in Lisa, Ren, and Eileen or soap opera for years,
Yeah.
right? So they brought that in almost like a wink, wink. You
Mhm.
know, you could bring your soap opera acting skills into the show. And then now we are where we are, where it's really like just a show.
It's
And this,
devolved
right.
100%.
And so this woman is going to struggle coming into that because she's not an actress. She is real, because she's going to want to show her real idiosyncrasies. And they might go, you know what? You don't have those one-liners. You don't have the, even Sutton barely made it on the show. She ended up being a hit because the fans recognized that Sutton was like the old days. There was a little bit of Sutton that reminded everybody.
But that's why I think that's why Ursula would be a great to cast, because I think kind of weeding out, just like you're saying, that like soap opera, the bad money, those weird players, kind of weeding them out and getting back to the roots with like a Sutton, with an Ursula. Even though Garcella is an actress, let's keep her because she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's
great.
I
think she's fantastic. So I think if they can get their stuff together and really turn the show around, we're gonna need to sort of cut the fat and bring in those people. But I think the production's problem is they think, oh, we're getting all these ratings with all of this dark drama. Let's keep the dark drama. But that's not really what the ratings is about. It's more like we're tuning in because we want to see, is there going to be justice? What's going to happen? Are you going to boot them? All of this stuff. I think if they were able to produce a show that was rooted in what it was supposed to be, because the show was great and did really well before all of this. So
oh my God, just so you know, I love it, but just to say this, and I'm not, given I'm biased, but the ratings were 2.1 million people in season 1 and 2. They were 2.1 to 2.3 million. And they went as far into season 3. I think they were at like 1.92 million.
Yeah.
And then season 4, it was like, it dropped a little bit to like 1.7, 1.8 million. And then now they're like, oh my God, 1.2 million. So, and then Andy chimes in, but we're in a streaming world, which is fair enough. So maybe there's another million people streaming, but we don't know because we can't get privy to that information like the old days. But I'm just saying, I think, Sutton without people realizing it, Sutton reminded them of a legit woman who's rich, who's got idiosyncrasies, that was kind of a shout out to the past. And that's 100%. Why they held on to her for dear life in this group of very performance driven women, because it was like, yay, like one that's kind of unique and like its own and isn't flashy and glamorous. And she's got her own like teddy bear sweater and we're, like that's her, right?
I love Sutton.
That said, I'm not saying get rid of the Eileens or the Rennas or any of that. I'm saying they serve a purpose too. But what I think everyone's sensing is there's none of the sort of down to earth characters. There's not enough of them.
Yeah.
There's not enough like real characters intermixed with those actresses, maybe.
And I also think, I think the biggest thing is that the work is showing. And that's really what the problem is, where it's like, I think for a while they kind of got away with what they were doing behind the scenes.
Mm.
But I think a couple of things happened where, one, social media, it plays a huge part now, whereas in the early stages, social media wasn't that big of a presence. So now
Yes.
the work is showing. Now we're getting leaks, we're getting blind items, we're getting bloggers and YouTubers and podcasters getting all the information. It's a different beast now. And now we get, exclusives and behind the scene tea, and now they can't sort of fake it the way they did before. And
Yeah.
so now that we see that the work is showing, now we're like, wait a minute, you lied. Wait a minute, that was completely edited. Wait a minute, you leaked that to the press. Wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. And I think that's what the biggest thing is, where the shows are now catching up to us rather than we are tuning in to them for the scoop. Beverly Hills had to take that week hiatus to go back and re-edit and do basically like pickup shots. And we were like, you didn't film this during this season. This was a pickup shot between Dorit and Kyle in the car. You didn't film this then. And then to re-edit the scenes to match the narrative that was going on in social media. So I think, I don't know who the producers are. I don't know what their background is, but they might need to maybe bring on people who can understand the pulse of social media, where they're not, because I think they
true, Candy. So true.
They miss the mark a lot, where they think this is who we're going to like or who we're going to be into, and then it's totally opposite, and they're not actually listening to us, and they don't really have a pulse on what's going on. And they're catching up to us now. And like, people are just like you said, people are watching YouTube and listening to podcasts more than they're even watching the shows. Some of my subscribers are like, I don't watch the show, I just watch the recap.
Mine too.
You know what I mean?
They're like, we don't care about that. Yeah.
We don't care about that, so they're catching up to us. And like, no shade to Andy Cohen, but the emperor has no clothes. There's a point where, just like Kyle, maybe you've ran your course. He's completely checked out. He's not watching the shows. He doesn't know what's going on, and he's phoning it in. And that's having a negative effect on how we feel about him, the network, and the shows. So I think there needs to be an infusion of people who have a pulse on what's happening in social media, where they can now be creating the stories. Because if you like, where I get my content from, Reality Blurb and Phase 6 and all these different places and all of this and that, they're getting their content from social media. This person reposted this tweet. This person reposted that. So it's like, all of the information's coming from social media. Even their like quote exclusives, they're still quoting somebody's tweet or somebody else's podcast. They're quoting what's happening on the podcast. So it's just a different beast now. And I'm not sure that the people who are producing the shows have caught up to it.
Well, you know what they're doing behind the scenes. You want me to tell you it's some tea?
Yes, I love some tea.
So some of the production companies, knowing how the deep dive people work, are reaching out to people who cast but don't get on the show, that know other people on the show, and they're asking them for kind of dirt, so that they can anticipate where the fans might take it, find out, or plant the seed that we will watch it and see it and go, hey, and they'll plant that kind of deep dive. So they're actually actively going out and looking for dirt on cast members to anticipate what's going to come out in the deep dive, or what we're going to say, or the social media hunt and all this. And that's how they're trying to tackle it now.
See, that kind of makes me cringe a little bit, because
it's negative positivity.
It's toxic positivity. 100%. It's toxic positivity, because I'm always
it's toxic positivity.
It's
sorry,
toxic positivity, because I'm always
like Kathy Hilton. We're the same sign, just so you know.
Everything's hunky dory
except the bad part.
Exactly. Okay. Everything's hunky dory, but it's kind of like, again, they're missing the point, and they're missing the mark, because the point isn't that we want to find dirt and all these bad things on these people and expose them and blah 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 blah. Yeah, we do our deep dives. Yeah, we're doing all that stuff, but we're doing that because these are the people that you're presenting us with. That's what I meant by we want the clean money and we want aspirational. It's like, they should be doing those deep dives before they cast the person, not after. they wouldn't have had the Diana Jenkins whole situation if they had like they knew what was being said about her and they still casted her on the show. So it wasn't like we were
Well, they
like,
do that. They
let's
want
find
that.
all the horrible things out about Diana Jenkins.
Wait, one thing I
Can't.
want you to know. They knew
Yeah.
Taylor was getting abused before she was on the show.
See, that's disgusting to me. That's disgusting to me.
That's the truth. So that's part of your casting.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, it's like you knew all this stuff. So it's like,
Yes, that's part of the
it's
casting.
not
They're
us
looking
being
for
like,
the
let's go find all these horrible things out. But if you are presenting to us these people and then it comes out, then of course we're going to do a deep dive on it. But our intentionality isn't cast the worst person. No, because content is content is content. We could be doing content on, all of the great things they're doing, or just laughing about it, or deep dives into all of that stuff, which is a great kiki and all it and that stuff. But but we're working with the content that you give us. We don't create the content. We report the content. You see what I'm saying?
Pam.
Exactly.
I don't mean Dana Pam. I mean Pam.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts.
I'm listening to some of the deep dives. Yeah, no, you're right. So I guess it's going to be an interesting road. I mean, okay, so you're big into Real Housewives. You had some tea you were going to spill, something with Giselle Bryant. Come on, spill a little.
Oh no, it wasn't with
Giselle. Here for 2 hours. Spill that.
It wasn't with Giselle. It was with Kenya Moore
okay,
and Garcelle Bouvet.
Okay, tell it.
So I did this whole.
This is your cherry for waiting till the end and watching this whole damn thing.
All right, so I did this whole deep dive on Kenya Moore being a pick-me with the Fox 4 or 5, because I did the whole scoop on how she kind of windmills for them, but yet she's very negative towards like Ebony K. Williams, towards Garcelle Bouvet, Vivica Fox,
really,
even her ex-friend Cynthia Bailey.
Really? I'm
second.
shocked.
Oh yeah.
Take a minute.
I'm okay. I just got like a little tingle.
Okay. I'm like, hug. I'll come get you cookie.
Yes. So basically what Kenya did was, so when Garcelle first came on the scene, do you remember the fight she had with Kyle? When Kyle said, oh, you never paid your the pledge. Because again, there's a difference between a pledge and a donation.
The $5,000. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And Garcelle was like, listen, when you say that a Black person doesn't pay their bill, it's representative of a bigger stereotype. So it means something different than if you were to say it to a white cast member. And if I was a white cast member, would you have even said that to me? And they had that whole conversation, and Kyle's like, wow, I didn't think of it that way.
Microaggression.
Complete microaggression. And she was like, oh, I never thought of it that way. But now that you've told me, I understand what you mean. And then Kenya Moore, for whatever reason, like, please shut up, Kenya, comes out and is like, oh, Garcelle's just playing the race card. Kyle didn't mean anything by that. And I'm like, Kenya,
why would she say that? That's so bizarre.
And then, because she's always... because don't forget, Kenya Moore was also on Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip with Kyle and Cynthia and Melissa and Luann, and she threw Cynthia under the bus, completely played the hell out of Cynthia. Their friendship has never been the same.
Oh,
and she was
right.
all
I remember that.
Kyle and Luann's and Melissa Gorga's butt.
So they became friends. On Ultimate Girls Trip season 1.
Girls Trip season 1.
Right. That makes sense now.
And she completely played Cynthia. Like, Cynthia has her own codependent issues. And I think that Kenya Moore was very easily able to manipulate her, given her personality type, and made Cynthia look very clingy, very crazy, all of this stuff. But she knew exactly what she was doing, and she threw her all the way under the bus. And then she did the same thing to Ebony K. Williams. She was like, oh, Ebony's playing the race card against Luann on the Real Housewives of New York City. So again, it's like, why do you keep coming after the Black cast members, like when it's none of your business. You're not on New York. You're not in Beverly Hills. And Mimi even said, wait, Kenya, why did you leave Because Kenya used to live in LA and she moved to Atlanta to be on the show. And she's like, why did you leave LA? And I guess maybe she didn't get cast for Beverly Hills, and maybe she's jealous because Garcelle was the first Black woman to be on Beverly Hills. I don't know. And then it came
Probably.
out, and then it also came out that during the time when Lisa Rinna did that post, and she was like, "Oh, if we say anything about Garcelle, we're racist. Shut up, you PU words, all like the woman genitalia word. I don't care anything about you hoes. If you can't handle it, go watch Real Housewives of Dubai, which is a very diverse cast, but predominantly Black women on it. That was also very horrible and also a microaggression. Why are you talking about Black women and using the term hoes? We're going to call a thing a thing when a hoe is very stereotypically within the Black community as calling a woman a hoe. Like, let's just call a thing a thing. And then she's like, no, I meant trolls and haters, but you didn't say troll, you didn't say hater, you said hoe. It was and then right when she said that, then Kenya Moore commented
so weird
on
that
some
people
posts.
talk like this.
It's ridiculous.
When I was in Beverly Hills, we did not talk like this, guys. I'm
telling you, this was Lisa Rinna. She was like, I don't care
bitches,
about you.
But we did never say hoes.
Yeah, exactly. And she said all this stuff. And then Kenya Moore was like, that's my girl or something like that to Lisa Rinna. And then it came out that apparently Lisa Rinna told Kenya that she was going to get her a deal on QVC. And then also don't forget, Kenya and Erica are very, very close friends. They're very close. They call each other sister. They were also on, I think Erica was the first one on Dancing with the Stars. And she's like, oh, now that I'm eliminated, the next person I want to go on the show is Kenya Moore. Then Kenya Moore got on Dancing with the Stars. And she's like, oh, I went to my sister Erica Jane for help and all that stuff. So Kenya Moore is very, very close to Kyle Richards, Lisa Rinna, and Erica Jane Girardi. And she has systematically, and then when she was on, I think, The Apprentice, she was going against Vivica Fox, who is a queen, an icon, a moment. She's everything. I love Vivica Fox. She was going after her, stealing her phone and trying to tear her down. So I was just like, I see a very clear pattern of Kenya Moore kind of cozying up to certain people while putting down other Black women. And this is the thing. Just because you're female and Black doesn't mean you have to be friends. Absolutely not. That's racist. Not all Black people are friends. No. However, I don't understand why she chooses to proactively go against them. That's the issue I have. You don't have to be friends with anybody, but why are you proactively going against them? Saying to another Black person, you're pulling the race card, to me, that just doesn't sit well with me.
So tell me something. Why do you think she did? What was her motive?
I think Kenya Moore's she's a pick-me person. I think that she likes to be the token. I think that.
Wait, no. Explain that, because that's very slangy and I don't know it.
Okay, no, I'll explain it, and then I'll get into the whole.
Because I want to know. I really want to know that, because.
And then there's the whole thing that
you're dancing around something you really want to say. And I'm sensing that, and I would love you to say it, because I think it's fun. Okay,
I'm definitely going to say it. I think Kenya Moore is, and this is just my opinion. I think she's a pick-me. I think that she wants to be that Black girl. Like, if you go into a space that's predominantly white, I think she wants to be the Black girl that is accepted, that's the cool girl, that, she's one of them. And I think that's how she is. And I think that she gets very intimidated by other Black women who are, and this is not to take anything away from Kenya. I think she's beautiful. I think she's highly intelligent, and she's very successful. But I think that she gets threatened by other Black women who are also beautiful, intelligent, highly successful, and who could also play in different spaces, whether it's a Black space, a mixed space, or a white space. Very similar to women like Garcelle. She's beautiful, she's intelligent, she's successful, but she's also universal. She can play in all spaces. Same thing with Vivica Fox, same thing with Cynthia Bailey, same thing with Ebony K. Williams. She was on Fox News. She can play in all of those spaces. And I think Kenya Moore wants to be the chosen Black girl.
Do you think that,
and that's just my personal opinion on her.
But do you think in her past she felt bad about a moment in time or something that maybe impacted her so greatly that she really wants to be accepted by that group. What you said, the group
Mhm.
that you said before, what was it? You were saying the pick me group, or is that
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it's like a
Like,
pick me. Basically,
like
like, I
another
wanna
like
be the one that's chosen,
like
very much like
because
a
was she,
Brandy.
I don't know, where was she raised? Where was she brought up? Do
I'm
you
not
know? Because I haven't done
sure
a deep dive on her.
I'm not
Um,
sure exactly where she was raised, but I
let
know
me
that she
look.
did have a very contentious relationship with her mother. Her mother gave her up. She had her very young. And she was raised by, I believe, like her grandmother or some situation like that. And her mother doesn't really acknowledge her. So I know that's going on. But
It
I
may
think,
be, you know what,
mhm,
I wait, let me just say this. Okay,
yeah.
so she was raised in Detroit.
Hmm.
Okay, she's she was a beauty queen and all that stuff. You guys know that. But maybe she was in Miss USA.
Yeah.
Let me just say this. My best friend is her mom is a redhead white lady and her dad is very black.
Hmm.
Okay. And I was talking about this the other day with Philly.diva, which was that she used to say that she was white. That's what she identified as.
Hmm.
Okay. And I said to Philly.diva, maybe part of that was that she was in Greenwich, Connecticut. Right. And so,
Yeah.
look up Greenwich, Connecticut, guys, and you'll know what I'm talking
Yeah. Yeah.
about. Okay. So the thing is that maybe Kenya Moore being in Miss USA during this time, maybe she felt insecurities with that. And she was like my friend who was raised in Greenwich, because it wasn't like she had all that much, she wanted to have friends. She wanted to fit in. She
Yeah.
wanted to go like anything. Like when I was living in Miami, I couldn't speak Spanish. In some places, they spoke Spanish. I felt excluded. I felt less than. I felt unwanted. I couldn't make jokes. Some of the women didn't include me and stuff because I couldn't speak the language. I wouldn't get what they were saying. It
Yeah.
sucks. Like I'm just saying that's an extreme version, but maybe this woman Kenya Moore is still dealing with that issue. And so she's a pick me girl. And maybe because of that, like,
I'll just interject because I think
I
I
mean,
get
do
what
you
you're.
feel any badness, a sadness for her for that is what I guess I'm saying. Like,
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. But I think a couple of things. I think one, I don't think it's a I can't pinpoint one thing that happened to Kenya Moore, but this uh ideology or consciousness or whatever you want to call it runs very deep, particularly within the black community as a whole. I
yeah,
don't want to get too deep with it, but it goes back to slavery
yeah,
or any type of, you know, group that has been colonized or
yeah,
any type of group that has been put into slavery
yeah,
and they have that situation, so it goes back to that. So it's so insidious and it's so deep rooted that I don't think it's necessarily that I'm faulting Kenya more of it, because I think it's just more of an indication of what black people have to go through.
yeah,
When you think of one seat
yeah,
at the table, well, there's only one seat for a woman, so I'm not gonna support my other woman because I want to be the woman that gets the seat. There's only one seat at the table with all the white cool people, so I want to be the one minority at the table with all the white cool people because there's only one spot for us. So there's
it's
a
so
difference
terrible.
between
I hate hearing this.
yeah,
It's
there's a
so
difference between saying
awful.
there's a difference between saying I want to be included, like, oh, tell me the joke in Spanish or teach me Spanish or whatever. There's a difference between saying, or like your friend in Greenwich, I want to be accepted. I don't want to stick out. There's a difference between saying I want to be included, which is inclusivity, versus I want to be the only one. I want to be the one that gets picked. That's why you're the pick me person. And
Yeah,
this
you want
happens
the
like a lot.
opportunity because people feel like, "Oh, I like her more because seems like my vibe," or whatever, right? Is that what you're saying?
It's more of it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain it to a white person, to be honest.
I totally listen. I don't take any offense.
No,
to this.
no, 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 no.
I
It's
take
kind
the
of
Philly
hard because
Diva.
it's
I'm
like,
like, I don't understand. Obviously,
yeah,
I
it's
can't
hard.
understand. I have little
Yeah,
bullshit examples that I go to, you know,
yeah,
because I don't have big examples that I can go to because I agree with everybody. I think the world is racist. I
it
think all these,
is.
I think it's
It is.
100%. Like, I think
Yeah.
there are opportunities that are, you know, don't even get me started on the Justice Department, all this stuff, but
Yeah.
that I 100% agree with it. I have
It goes,
no,
yeah,
and I
it goes
feel
back.
for it, and I'm
It goes,
disgusted by it. I'm like, I'm upset that there would be a woman of color that would sit and want to be with a bunch of white women, because frankly, I've been with those white women and they're not that fucking great. Let me tell you, you
yeah,
know, I
it's
left
like,
that table, but
yeah,
it's
it's
nice
like,
to be invited. And
yeah,
I feel that, and I think it's crap, and I think it's a travesty.
yeah. And then the whole thing happened with uh those headlines, oh, like Garcelle Bouvet is beefing with Kenya behind the scenes because her publicist is Garcelle's ex-husband. Her publicist is now dating Garcelle's ex-husband, Michael Nylon. And I
Oh
was like,
God.
I was like, oh, this was a deep dive. And I was like, I don't think that Garcelle is beefing with Kenya. If anything, Kenya was beefing with Garcelle. Garcelle never even said anything back to Kenya when she was saying stop playing the race card with the whole Kyle thing. Garcelle never claps back. She's very classy. She hasn't clapped back
He
at all to
cheated on
anybody.
Garcelle.
He
She's like,
cheated.
goodbye, Michael. See you
Exactly. He
later. She
cheated on.
emailed the whole office and
Yeah.
said to Michael's whole office, like,
Yeah.
he's a cheater. Like, she's like, don't let the door, you
Don't
know,
let the door
hit
hit
you
you
on.
on the way out. Exactly. Exactly. And so they're like, oh, because Kenya Moore's publicist, her name's Shannon Barr, is Michael's girlfriend. And they've been together pretty much since he got divorced from Garcelle. Now, there's speculation, and I'm not saying this because she came at me pretty hard.
Wait, I want to hear that. Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay, let me read this. Pam, I want to respect this because this was nice of you to share. As a native, I get told my culture. It's really, thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
I just want to say a lot of people feel this. We don't all talk about it because it's hard to talk about, but a lot of people feel this in different ways, you know? But I like to have, like, I wanted to bring us together.
Yeah.
Not separate us.
And we have to talk about it. And even though that's my opinion of Kenya, I don't falter for it because unfortunately we have been learned to hate ourselves, and we have been learned that, you know, white is right, and we have been learned that, you know, there's only room for one, you know, the token woman, the token black person, the token, you know, gay person, the token, right? And so if the world is telling you that there's only one spot for someone who looks like you, that doesn't make you think, oh, I should be collaborating, I should be supporting people who look like me. It makes you think that's my competition. And the way that I show that I'm better than them is if they choose me. Whereas the exact opposite exists with the Good Old Boys Club. They are taught you are as strong as your network. You are as strong as your relationships. So what do? They get together. They go golfing. They smoke their cigars. They talk. They do deals. Oh, I know a guy. I have a guy. I'll scratch your back. You scratch my back. They're taught we collaborate. We work together. We are. What are we? We're a club.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Miss USA scarred that woman. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah. So
but what did she DM you? What did she DM you? Because that's
so I don't want to read exactly what she said because, again,
wait, one thing I want to say. This is why, you know, Joe Jobs, I'm afraid sometimes to ask questions because I don't want to be accused of being a racist when all I want to do is learn. Well, listen, I'm going to go ahead, Candy, you respond, because I then want to say that I've been asking questions because I don't know, because I haven't been through it.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes you have to risk unfortunately being called a lot of names. I've been called a million things except slut pig, but I've been called a lot of things in my time. And you know what? That's okay, because if at the end we get to something better, then who gives a shit? Then let them call you what they're going to call you, because
Yeah.
you got to get to the end result. Like I could not. I'm different after Philly.Divas live the other week. I'll be
Uh-huh.
different after this live this week.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to be, I probably losing people, subscribers, but I don't care,
No,
because
you're gaining people.
I've got to, no, I probably am not, but I don't mind. No, but I mean it, because people are very sensitive, right? But
Yeah,
I don't mind, because this journey is about something else. It's more
it
important
is.
than subscribers.
100%.
It's more important. And so I'm going on this with my friends. This is we're,
Yeah.
you know, me and journeys. Remember season 2 when I was hammered with Kyle? I go on them and I take you with me.
I love it.
Game
I
night.
love it. Yeah.
Very good. Anyway, sorry. I just wanted to
No,
stop because
yeah.
that's important. And I think you were very brave, Joe, to say that. Go ahead. I know I keep looking like I'm crying, but I'm not.
No,
My
you're
eyes are so
fine.
irritated. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. You're fine. No, so what I would say to Joe is one thing I've learned in my life is the solution is the problem is the solution, right? So if the problem is I'm scared to ask a question because I feel like I'm going to look like a racist, the solution is just to say that. Be like, "Hey, listen, I have a question I want to learn. It is not I'm not being racist. I don't want to appear that way, but this is the question I have because I want to learn and I'm open to growing. So here's my question." And if people don't receive you in the way that you are giving it, then that's on them. And the right person will receive it correctly and have the conversation and tell you what's going on the same way Dana and I are talking right now. So don't worry that someone's going to accuse you of being racist. Then they were just looking for it anyway. And everybody's not going to be the right person to have that safe conversation with, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't ask the question. So just say, "Hey, you know what? I'm white, I'm black, I'm straight, I'm gay. I don't know. I'm not trying to look like X, Y, and Z, but I'm open to learn. And this is the question I have. Are you willing to talk to me about it?" So when you have those fears of, the problem is I'm worried about this, make it the solution through authenticity and transparency. "Hey, listen, I'm scared of looking like a racist. I don't know the answer, but this is the question I have. Like, can you talk to me about it?" And if someone doesn't receive it, it's on them, not on you, but keep asking the question. And I'll tell you this, for all of the deep dives I've done, for all of the things I've done, the meanest and most hateful I have ever gotten has been when I talked about Kenya Moore being a pick me. I mean, the most hate. And I
See,
don't get a lot of hate on my channel. My channel, we're very happy, we're very positive, but it goes to what I'm saying. There is so much insidious self-hate within my Black community that when you dare to say something that might hit a nerve, instead of looking and saying, "Hey, well, let's talk about this," they want to attack you. And also,
so you're going through it in a different way.
in
Isn't
a
that
very
kind of,
different way, in
so
a very different
so
way.
she's got a different sort of attack.
Yeah.
She's dealing with, and learned a lot about this from Philly.Diva the other day, because I didn't understand. I didn't
Oh, yeah.
understand the terminology, and I don't pretend to understand when I don't understand. So I asked
Yeah.
her and I said, please help me, and she explained all the different dynamics. And I was like, wow. And it's a lot.
Hmm.
It's a lot. Anyway, so tell me one thing. So so what did Kenya say to you?
Okay, so this is what happened. So I did my first video on, exposing that Shannon Barr, who is Kenya Moore's publicist, was, now the partner to Garcelle's ex-husband or
Yeah.
whatever. And the whole question was the timeline, like, was she one of the women that he was cheating on? Because right after they got divorced, they were publicly together and he had been cheating with multiple women. So I was like, well, I don't know, this is, the rumor, but I'm also not stupid. In my personal opinion, I'm kind of questioning that timeline or whatever the case was. So I did my whole video on it. And then there's another
That was
content
huge.
creator.
I didn't know that there were rumors. How did that
Yeah.
get by me? There were rumors that Kenya Moore was dating Garcelle's husband when
Not
he left, when they
Kenya
broke up.
Moore's publicist, her publicist.
Oh, was dating
Yes, her
him.
publicist. So
Okay.
Kenya Moore's publicist,
All
not
right.
Kenya Moore.
And
And
so
they were
Kenya
saying
Moore would be sticking up for her publicist,
would
is
be
what you're
sticking up for her
thinking.
publicist.
Okay,
Well,
got
they
it.
were trying to say Garcelle's mad at Kenya because her publicist, her friend, is Michael's current. You see,
Got
if
it,
that
got it,
makes
got it,
sense.
got it. Okay.
And Sharon Barr, she's also a very beautiful, accomplished, intelligent Black woman. Okay. This is what's going on.
I
And
love
then
this.
there's another
I'm looking her
content
up while we
creator.
talk.
No, look it up. Yeah. There's another content creator by the name of House of Aaron. Shout out to him. He does a great job. And she had reached out to him because he did essentially the same video I did, because we got all the same content, right? I'm not making this up. I'm not lying. I'm reading from the blogs. I'm reading from the exclusives. I'm not making anything up. So him and I had a very similar video that we did. She reaches out to him on Instagram to set the record straight about stuff. But she was very kind to him. She was very nice, very cool, collected. He goes, he does an quote exclusive video reading what she said on the Instagram DM to like set the record straight. And he's like, oh, she's nice. She's a nice lady. It was very lovely. She was like, hey, Aaron, I just want to set the record straight about certain dates or whatever. To me, the only thing that was different was I thought that Michael, who is Garcelle's ex, and her were married, but they're not married. They've just been boyfriend and girlfriend for a decade. So no tea, no shade. But
No tea, no shade.
I mean, whatever. Teach their own, right? We can all be Goldie and Russ.
Oh my god. Okay, sorry.
So she did that, and then and then in my video, which was my Kenya Moore Pick Me video, I said everything that Aaron said. I was like, you know what? She reached out to Aaron. Here are the updates, setting the record straight. So I did not say anything that was not already out there. I even made sure to set the record straight from what she said to House of Aaron, and anything I had said that was not true based on the blogs and everything, to make sure it was straight. She then DMs me on Instagram, but her tone was very, very different.
What was it? What was it?
I'm not gonna read it.
Come on. Come on, Candy, give it to me. Please.
Oh my God.
Come on. I'm dying.
All right. Let me see.
This is like the first thing I'm like excited about. This is new stuff.
It is new stuff. I wasn't gonna read it because I was
come on, just read it. Oh my God. And look at Truth of Dilly is really excited too.
All right, let me see if I can find it, because I never responded, and then she took back the message.
Can you find it, or you can paraphrase it?
Let me
take a minute. Take a minute. I'll talk about something while you're doing that. So I want to just mention that Teddy Mellencamp went on Watch What Happens Live with her dad, and he said that she was very dramatic. Is that a big shocker?
And she fake cried.
Yeah. So that's something to note if she ends up coming back on the show. And gosh, I just don't know. I don't think he's going to make that many changes to the cast, unfortunately, for Beverly Hills. I don't know. What else is interesting? I stopped watching Salt Lake City. Oh, I know.
Oh, you stopped it? Her name is Shannon Barr.
Shannon Barr. Okay, good. Okay, let's look at that really quick. Oh, I dropped my phone, you guys.
She's since has gone private.
Oh, she's gone private now. Ooh. So those videos coming out must have struck a nerve.
She said, hi, Candy. I saw your post on me. I'm going to say this, ... I'm getting sick and tired of my name being dragged through the dirt over some relationship that literally ended 12 years ago. Wait.
I love it. So bad.
I'm going to say this one more time. When I met Mike, he was divorced. He had not been with his ex-wife for almost 2 years. Stop calling me a side chick. Stop saying I had an affair with a married man. That is simply not true, and you are disparaging my good name and reputation, and I am sick of it. You need to retract your story about me immediately. Had you just reached out to me to clear up the facts, I would have been happy to chat with you. This is reckless and could hurt my business and reputation, and I'm done letting this weird, random rumor grow any bigger. Mike is my partner. I don't need to be married to be in a loving, monogamous, and fulfilling relationship. Okay, Shannon.
What'd you say? Okay.
And then she says, he's a good man, and I'm sick of how people speak about him. He made a mistake when he was married. Move on. ... He has. Thank you.
Wow. Jeez.
This is the thing. It's like,
girl. Oh my God. Could you imagine? You know what people say, like on the, they don't say it to me in DMs. They write me I always get very nice DMs. I've never gotten any bad DMs. But on my page, I leave all the really bad ones because I kind of like them. I watch them and I go, oh, that's a nasty one, like, but I mean, can you imagine me spending the time to try to convince these people who hate my guts to not hate my guts? Like, just,
I mean,
okay, no problem. Like, okay, you think I'm a hooker. Great.
It's like the people who read the headline, but they don't actually watch or listen. Because what I actually said was nothing disparaging about Shannon Barr. Like, I actually said I thought that she was beautiful. I thought that she had a great company. I thought it was unfortunate when Black women are pitted against each other, because I didn't actually believe that Garcelle was beefing with Kenya, and I went through a whole deep dive and I explained exactly what I thought. And I didn't say anything that was negative about Shannon. What I said was, in my opinion, if I heard about this situation, would I just think, the timing is off to me? I'm just thinking about things logically, sharing my opinion about something going on. I don't think she actually, if she did watch it, she didn't listen, because the energy she had in me was way off.
They never listen.
She didn't actually listen because I didn't actually say anything disrespectful towards her. But what I found funny was when House of Aaron said literally exactly what I said. She sent him a very nice and kind message. But when I, a Black woman, intelligent, successful, who moves in all spaces, sound familiar, has an opinion or says something, she has all the smoke for me.
So you know what I mean? Felt like there was a double standard.
100%. I literally repeated, and I gave Aaron credit because I got the exclusives from him. I had my slide. If my candy canes know, I love a good slide. I had my slide. I had Aaron's logo on it, and I said, this is from House of Aaron. This is his exclusive. Because when people have exclusive, I always credit them. If it's in Page 6, Reality Blurb, all the other ones, nobody's getting credit for that unless I'm reading the article. But if someone says, this is my exclusive content, this is what they DM'd me, I gave him credit, and I literally repeated exactly what she told him. So when I repeat exactly what you told him, you want to be rude and disrespectful to me? Like, I need to take stuff down and I'm doing this and that, when I'm like, what are you talking about? I literally repeated what you said to him because I wanted to make sure that what I was reporting was accurate. I could have left the original video and have the inaccuracies based on the articles I read, but I didn't.
So what you're saying is that A, she didn't watch the video. She assumed the video. Mm-hmm. B, she was more aggressive to you than she was to him.
100%.
And you took offense to that for sure, because you believe that there is an agenda in that, in a sense, right?
I think do you think
it's microaggression, or what do you think it is?
I think it's a subconscious bias. I think that not even a race thing. I think women are more vicious towards other women than they are to men. Because House of Aaron, he's Black and he's fantastic. He's young and he's funny and he's great. Shout out to House of Aaron. He's fantastic. But I do think that when a man says something, I think she responded very differently, but she had a different response because I was a woman saying it.
Wow.
Maybe because I'm a Black woman. She's Black too. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. But I think it's very telling that, you know, Aaron was like, "Oh, she's so nice. She's such a nice lady. You know, she da 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 da." And I
He's like, I got
literally,
this great message.
yeah, he was so excited. He was reading it on the live. He was like, "Guess what, guys?" He was
Yours
like,
is like,
"Oh." He was like, "This lady, Shannon Barr, blah, blah, blah." And then for me, it was like, "You need to take that down. This is weird. This is whack. This is disparaging my good name." Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I literally repeated what you told him. So
oh
why are
my
you mad
God.
at me for repeating your own words?
Candy, I am so, listen, I think that was a great, I think we should end it there because that was such a good ending. I was kind of like, people were like, wow, you guys are going and going. And I'm like, yeah, we could have an 8-hour radio show. Why not?
Easily, easily.
Why not? I only
Yeah.
prepared for an hour. We're at 2. I mean, why not? But I do feel like that's an awesome ending
Yeah.
because it's tea, it's special, it's deep. I love the deep. I love the
Yeah.
granularity. And you know what? I can't wait to do a collab. And on our next
Yes.
one we do, because this was our introductory one, on our next one we do, we're going to get like a meaty subject and
Deal.
we'll both take a piece and do the dive because we're very similar. So now that I've
Deal.
collabed with you, I know exactly what to do. So you'll do one dive and I'll do the other and then we'll present.
I love it. I love it. I'm here for it. I'm definitely here for
Okay.
it.
I thank you so much. You are inspirational in so many ways. Your ambition, your beauty, your positivity, your intellect that you bring to things. Wow, it's so impressive. And, you know, I have to say, I don't collab with just everybody. I really pick people. I pick people for special things, people I feel are unique in a certain way, or, you know, like, like Philly.diva is so articulate and smart. And I was watching her feed before I invited her in besides the show. And, you know, I just knew she was going to be just extraordinary. I knew she was going to tell me like I was going to get so much, you know,
Yeah.
and when I watched your deep dives and I saw the time you gave it and, you know, the way that you're presenting and you're very conscious to be fair and you're also have a strong opinion and it's an educated opinion. I just really was inspired by it. So I'm so grateful
Thank
that
you.
you're doing all the things you do. And thank you. And you guys, I'm going to let Candy now, I've gushed enough. And I'm going to let Candy now tell you all about her stuff and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Candy.
so you guys can definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's just at Candy Washington. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at Candy Washington. You can head over to my website. You guessed it, candywashington.com, where I have I published 5 books, and then I also have my self-care podcast called Sugar Pills: A Practical Guide to Self-Care. You can listen to it on iHeartRadio and also wherever you listen to your podcast. I also executive produced and wrote a film called Narcissist, and you can watch that on Amazon Prime Video. And I have some more fun projects coming up, so also be sure to subscribe to my newsletter.
Yeah, and also she sells really beautiful love candles for Christmas.
Oh, yes, yes. I have candles and sweatshirts and all of that stuff. I'm actually wearing it now.
Yes. Yay. All right. I told you I'd do the deep dive. I almost bought your merch. All right, you guys. Listen, have an amazing week. Know that you're special and I love you all so, so much. And come in the Patreon and talk to me because I'll be lonely. Okay, I'm going to go get my dog. Bye, Candy. Thank you for giving me so much of your time. Bye. Bye, guys.